Thursday. A very good morning to you from a 2 degrees Celsius Tipperary. Yes, it's very cold, but it's dry and it's bright, but it's friggin' freezing. Hope you're keeping well. Today we're going to be flying in Just Flight's PA-28, the Arrow 3. Ooh. And we're going to be looking into some VOR and some NDB navigation. We're not using a GPS today. This would be brilliant. So it's kind of old school instrument flying, and the reason why we look at these things, well, it makes life an awful lot easier when it comes to navigation, and it's just something to kind of keep in your back pocket, do you know? So I said we'll do some of this, and you have to kind of, you know, signs on the other day, like if you don't fly a particular aircraft for a while, or if you don't kind of stick with certain procedures for a while, you get rusty quick. You tend to forget an awful lot of stuff. So we're here in Alaska, on the ground at an airport called Homer here in Alaska. The ICAO code is Papa Alpha Hotel Oscar, and the route that we have, exclamation point route, you're going to see that we're going to be flying to a number of airports, or at least there's VORs at these airports. Now, what we can do with VOR navigation, our very high frequency omnidirectional range, right? Effectively what it is, in the center, you have this little beacon. Think of a lighthouse, kind of, sort of, right? The light shining. It's transmitting a signal on a radial of 360 degrees, right? And it follows magnetic north. We'll get into all this now in a while. But effectively, it means wherever you are, you could be tracking on one of its radials. On a degree, anywhere between 0 and 360. That's what you're chasing. When it comes to NDB, that's a non-directional beacon. Think of that more as like, a flashing light on an aerial. It's not sending it out anywhere. You can just kind of say, well, it's in that direction. Now, with an NDB, we would use one of the instruments on the aircraft called an ADF, the Automatic Direction Finder. Effectively, this just points in the direction to say, yeah, it's over there. Right? When it comes to VOR flying, well, we should know exactly where we are relative to that VOR station, because we'll get a bearing to say, well, it's over here somewhere. We're either inbound course or we're outbound on a radial to or from our destination. It's very interesting stuff. And it is old school navigation. NDBs in particular are becoming a thing of the past, but they really shouldn't. And the same with VOR, because it's like this. The world today, I mean, we heavily follow GPS. It's all waypoints. We're using GPS. It's the aircraft are flying themselves. But what if someone turned off the satellites? It's just, if they have a Murphy working in the station and they say, right, pull out that plug, and suddenly now we've lost our GPS signals. But we have to rely heavily then on VOR. Plus, there's still a number of procedures in the real world that require VOR navigation. There could be VOR approach, all the jazz is there. So we need to be looking in and kind of just remembering how it all works. It's also an incredible way to kind of expand what you do in the sim. If you look at the simulator, any simulator for that matter, if you look at that purely on the grounds of navigation, how do you get around? We've spent a lot of time VFR, visual flight rules, looking out the window, seeing visual reference points like forests or rivers, roads, buildings, all that kind of stuff. But when the weather turns south, we don't have that ability anymore. So we need to figure out, right, where am I? Where am I going and how do I get there? So that's what we're going to spend a bit of time on today, and it could be new to you or it could be very old to you. It's hard to call, right? But we'll take our time and try and just scratch the surface of a bit of learning. And I'm thinking these Thursdays we might start more of these kind of tutorial based stuff. In particular, when we're going to see the release of Navigraph's Academy, I think that's something that we could have a lot of fun with. Also, then later today we're going to be planning for our Dublin flight. And Jesus, I'm getting a phone call. Hang on, lads, I have to take this. I'm waiting for the man for the blinds. Just talk amongst yourselves.
Jesus.
You see, people don't know when I'm working. Now listen, between you and me, and we can't tell anyone else, right? That's a fella about solar energy. Like, right, just to see, Because when I see the bill for my electricity, I'm like, oh, jeez. Right. But then again, I'm thinking solar energy in Ireland, I mean, we don't exactly get, prime sunshine. So said I'd ring them and inquire about the thing. Now I'm getting another phone call. Bloody hell, it's all happening now, lads. Hold fire. Right. That was the second fella ringing from a solar place. Where's me blinds, man? Right, enough of that interrupting, how unprofessional. But anyway, that's what you get up to here in real life. Everyone says, I shall ring him around 11 o'clock.
Hello there.
Bloody hell. But anyway, that's two people. You see, that's what you do. You ring one fella, how much? And then you ring another fella, how much? Then you go back to the first fella and completely lie. Oh, the other fella said I'd get it way cheaper. And let them do their business, and then they come back to you with a better price. The things we learn here, friends. But anyway, after all of that, right, we're going to be... what do we do? Oh yeah, we're going to be doing some planning a little bit later on for the VATSIM event, which is taking place tonight at Dublin. They have the reduced threshold, as they call it. Basically, there's works being carried out on the taxiway, the Zulus, Bravo and whatnot at Dublin Airport, meaning that runway 28 left now is shorter because there's obstacles in place. And when I say obstacles, there's like building equipment, cranes, diggers, all that kind of stuff. So there is all sorts of information that we need to equip ourselves with because we can't land and use the full length of the runway, or it could be a departure as well. So on our normal VATSIM Thursday flights, we're belting away in the United States, but tonight we're back in Europe and we're going to be flying out of Amsterdam. Yes, from Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and we're going to be heading back across to Dublin. It's going to be loads of fun. Many things will break, and we need to probably practice some holes. A bit of Johnny Logan, hold me now. But yeah, it's all go this morning. If I get another phone call, it better be the blinds man. It's only 3 degrees outside, look. Jesus. But anyway, right. 2 people ringing at the same time from 2 different companies. But then again, are they 2 different companies? That's right. This is Ireland, we just have mad things going on here. But I don't know, lads. Solar power. Do you know? I think it's going to be very expensive. I think somewhere in the region between 8 and 12,000 euros to get solar installed here. In which my response to all of that will be next. Right? Because I was going to look at one of these portable little gadgets you can get. Akira, I think they're called, or something like that. Anyway, that's like £1,000. And you say, right, here's the big massive battery. And then you just put a solar panel outside. And then you use it to kind of support some of your stuff to see if there's going to be an impact. But I don't know. Then again, do we even need solar energy? I mean, Greta, right? Do you know what I mean? If I put a big friggin' coal burner outside or something, do you know what I'm saying? Or oil, Or how about wood, oil and coal? Right? I mean, it'll keep the place lovely and warm. And block out the sun, of course. But anyway, you're all very welcome in. Happy Thursday. And if you've any questions relating to flight simulation, be it with Microsoft Flight Sim or with X-Plane or indeed with OnAir, we're using OnAir today to build up some currency for our pilot. Well, these are the ideal times to be asking, hey, what's the story with this? Also, thanks to Corn Wolf, the man is a legend. He's updated the Phoenix fleet for Firefly Air, meaning that we have our beloved Firefly Air liveries for the A3 family, the A320 family. Use less stuff. No, I wouldn't mind when I turned things on this morning. None of my lights were working. Imagine if I didn't have my lights on. Hasha, how are you, lads? Oh wait, I've lights on in the background. Yeah, that didn't work. Yeah, we're got into energy efficiency mode. Yeah, just turn off the lights, it'd be grand. But anyway, you're all very welcome in. Who's here? Look, on this a Thursday morning. Be Janie then. Let me see. Corn Wolf, top of the morning. You are first. The person upside down, Mrs. TPHI, you're very welcome aboard. Eamon 1973. Good morning, Eamon. Hope you're well. Viper Strike is in the house. He's out in Mexico. Very nice, very nice. For awesome gamers here, welcome aboard. Mrs. TPHI 45 upside down streams. Thank you very, very much indeed to you. Airlock, welcome in. 10 in a row. He says, good morning to you, buddy. The Impossible Face, Burr, indeed it is. Winkle Gassler, Greetings from lunch break. What are you having for lunch? Filthy is here, good morning. Spitfire RAF 100 is here in the chat. Top of the morning to you. Commander Balosh is here, good afternoon. Semantic Warrior, welcome in. Morning stream, a multitasker stream. Yes, 100%. Idle Cutoff. Good morning, Murph. Cambridge calling. Hello from freezing Tipperary. Well, it's not freezing now, it's 3 degrees. But yes, Viper, thank you for your 3 in a row. Sim Guy is in the house. A foggy and cold Ohio. You're welcome in. Airlock says, after last night's stream, I can't wait for the Rail 300 to be released, right? Now, let me see. Tamal Shiva, or Team as I like to go. Good morning and hello to France. Bonjour. Hope all is well. Norse Viking Gaming, hope you're well. Richie Evans is here, welcome in. A cold and snowy Newcastle. It's snowing in Newcastle, is it? Blinky, top of the morning. Vex Freeze is here. Hope you're well. GPS can be jammed, 100%. Tima says, does the Just Flight PA-28 compare to the Bonanza? The Just Flight Arrows, they're an amazing fleet of aircraft. There's definitely more depth in the Black Square one. Nick went absolutely nuts with all the systems and simulations, if you like. It expands it into kind of the environmental, little bit more depth on the electrical side as well. But these are a solid airplane, and they are a fantastic plane to learn how to fly in. I will say that they're an awesome plane. But yes, let me see. Thing Wizard, good to see you. VOR, or are we going today? VOR today. VOR is also vehicle off-road. Coming from a logistics background, you know, you used to see VOR written, vehicle off-road. Interesting, right? But anyway, it's very different. Biz Cat Jam, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Corn Wolf, welcome aboard. Good to see you, buddy. Gar Gaming, hello to Galway. Hope all is well. Yeah, I need blinds for me kitchen. And they haven't rang us yet. I'm just waiting for the man in the van to come out to me house to measure the windows and then give us a price. That's right. It's hard to get people here. But anyway, Filthy, is that Skoda calling about your extended warranty? I absolutely wish. Thank you for 10 in a row. 98 Vulcan, good morning to you, buddy. Hope you're well. Solar blinds, yeah, that could work, yeah. We should fly some old biplanes, VF4 in crappy weather. They used to do that before they had licenses. It was called Seat of the Pants. Oh, indeed. I love it. We're still looking at us. I can multitask. Good morning, Chris Van Halen. Hope you're well, buddy. We have a solar inverter here in Scotland. It makes me washing cheaper, but that's about it. It's 1 kilowatt. Yeah, no, you'd need something here like for about kind of, realistically, I'd need something probably up around the kind of 4 to 5 kilowatts. But yeah. Solar power is great in winter when it's cold and dark. Right. What about peat? They even stopped peat burning here. The Greta crowd got into the Irish system early on, lads. You know, you can't be burning peat. But they've been doing it for thousands of years. You can't be burning it. It's bad for the environment. Moving on. Use less stuff. No, man, no. Toto is in the house. Good morning. Hope you're well. Thing Wizard is here. Hope you're well. Molten salt reactor. Wait, what? Molten... You're only messing now. Where's this now? You'll need a new bearing in your electricity meter. It's terrible, isn't it? Now, let me see. Hey, Ukin. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Kozaki's in the house. Is there time to launch 2020 and Join FS? Join FS is up and running. Yes. So, yes, Kozaki. Come on in, buddy. Crafty Tigers, good morning. Hope you're well. Murph, you didn't get my where VOR pun. Oh, wait. Aha! Huh? Roy, good to see you, Roy. Good morning. Hope you're well. It's all happening now, lads. Right, I mean, whatever your day was doing, welcome to my little part of the world. It's all mad, isn't it? But you're all very welcome in. Cracker Jack is here. Good morning. Dave Cleary, legend Dave. Welcome back, Dave. Good to see you. Daniel's in the house. Good morning. Mutt Dog is in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Michael Walsh, good day to you, sir. Hope you're well. Just Willie, you absolute mad lad. Good to see you, man. Hope all is well. Jace Ward, good morning. Hope you're well. Are you planning to use the KNS 80?
Sleepy, nighty, snoozy snooze.
We might do, yeah, we'll see. Airlock is saving me electricity by turning off the lights. Look, brilliant. Good man yourself. Thank you, Airlock. Airlock Doc saving Murph's energy since 2025 at 11:33. No, 11:23. Thank you, Airlock. Very kind of you. Mr. Minimite is here. Good morning. Hope you're well. And right, we'll jump into this because we also have some additional things. We previewed this on the news last night. It was the Say Intentions streamer kit. So I want to play around with that this morning to see what sort of trouble we can get ourselves into. Do you know? But as I say, if you've any questions or, you know, to ask, and I'll bluff my way to an answer. Right? Brilliant. Now, will this work? It did. Right. Come on over here, look. Brilliant. I think it's I think you have to put a dash between SI and commands, Airlock, I think. But we'll see how we get on, right? So, do I have buttons working here at this hour of the morning? I do. Hang on, that's a blank screen, Murphy. It's a blank screen. Oh Jesus, why isn't that working? Wait, one. It says it's connected. Ah, Jesus. I mean, do you know what? Do you know what else, lads? My television did something very strange this morning. It was all kind of warped on one side. Very, very friggin' strange, right? But hopefully now that's all fixed. I did what anyone would do at a time like that. I turned it off and turned it back on again. So let's see if this starts working. It's doing a thing. Yes. Yes. Why isn't that working? It was working and now it's not working. Well, the curse of the 7... How do we fix this, lads? Why is it, right? You don't touch anything. You leave things exactly as they are. And then it stops working. Wait, what the... Who's the... There, I fixed it. Sometimes my genius even alerts the Garda Síochána. Right, we're up and running. So, what else do we need to do? Oh yeah, we'll do other stuff now in a minute. Where's this now? No, Murphy, if you read VOR like a word, it sounds like that's what I meant. Oh wait, hang on. We'll go back to that now. We'll figure this one out together, Thing Wizard. Right now. We'll find... Solar panel is great. No, hang on, we got that bit. Jesus. Happy Thursday. VOR are we going today? Now I get it. It only took 5 minutes. VOR are we going? We're going this direction. Yes, yes. See, we can do things. Yes. Right. Jesus. Right. Now, come over here and I'm going to press some buttons. Because we're going to get some stuff set up here for our flight. Okay? So you might be asking yourselves, you know, VOR. What we're doing today, right? So we're going to have a look at the VHF omnidirectional range. It's used for precise directional navigation. It works with radials or bearings, as we go by, radials, shown on, of course, on the arrow. We'll see on the OBS and the nav indicator. And the effective range of these things are, so depending, you need line of sight and all this. The weather doesn't really impact on them on a VOR, but obstacles do, mountains, all this kind of stuff, right? But there's huge advantages to using VOR. Hey, Hassan, good to see you. Yeah, we got it fixed. Listen, things breaking here all the time, you know. In comparison, when we look at NDBs, they're non-directional beacons. They're older. There's more simple radio navigation. They are affected by the weather, thunderstorms, all that kind of stuff, right? We'll be using what's called an ADF, an automatic direction finder. It's basically a needle that'll point in that direction. It is affected by the terrain and, of course, the weather. And the range varies anywhere between about kind of 15 miles to like a maximum of about 60, give or take, right? So the arrow is going to be quite good for this, in which we're laughing. Now, there's a number of frequencies we'll need to check out for Homer, for Kenai, Anchorage, and also Talkeetna. That's where we're flying today. And we also have a couple of NDBs along the way. So the key concepts of this, a VOR sends out 360 radials. Think of a bicycle wheel, almost, nearly. I won't get into Bob Ross just yet. But radial numbers are from the station. So in the middle of the circle, I'm going to show you all this now here on a map. In the middle of the circle, you have the transmitter, the beacon, and that's sending out that signal on each radial, 360 degrees. All right. The VOR will indicate, it'll show us the course, the CDI, which is our left or right deviation, right? And also a to or from flag. So in the aircraft, we have radios that can tune into these VOR stations, and then we can actually get that to present itself on our instruments in order to know where we are relative to that station. All right, it's very, very handy. We can track radials. We can fly towards a radial. That'll be a course, right? Your course is just direction, or if you're outbound, it would be you're on a radial. You wouldn't say you're heading towards the radial. It's just, there's a kind of a mix-up on how people kind of understand, well, where are you? And we'll get into that in a moment. The NDB is far more simpler. Very, very straightforward. But if you if you're able to learn and figure out what the VOR is, NDB just becomes simple. Right, so that's what we're going to try and tackle this morning. So if I have a look here, I think it's the FAA has some stuff. So VOR, let's have a look. There's loads of stuff. Let's have a look. Rod Machado. Rod Machado is an absolute friggin' legend. Look, right? So we're going to bring this guy over and we'll have a quick look at this, right? So studyingflight.com. And we're going to have a look at the omnidirectional range. So that's the instrument in which we're going to have in the aircraft. You may have seen this instrument before, and this is going to be telling us a lot of information. Your CDI, your course deviation indicator, well, that's going to let you know. See this line here? That's going to let you know if you're to the right or to the left of that line that you're flying towards. You have your track. You have your to or from flag. They call it a flag, but it's like a little icon that'll appear on the instrument. You have an OBS knob, and then we have our dots, which will indicate usually ranges of deviation from. All right. So the omnidirectional range works primarily with three components. You'll have the station, which is on the ground, the antenna on the aircraft, and then you'll have the instrument in the aircraft that decodes or interprets what the signal is. Now, very high frequency. You can get into all radio frequencies, which is actually fascinating stuff when you look at high frequency, very high frequency, ultra high frequency. They're all different kind of megahertz in which that are pushed forward. It's very interesting. But anyway, our VHF range typically is between 108.1 and 1179.5 megahertz. Each station has its own unique frequency, and it also comes with its own Morse code identifier. And the reason being is you can't pick up the phone and say, hello, is that the Dublin VOR? There's no one there to answer you. So when you tune into it on your charts, right, or on your sectionals, whatever, you'll actually see dots and dashes, which is the identifier. So for example, when you tune your radio in, you can listen to it and you should hear what it said. So if it was like ... dash, it would be. That's how it would sound when you tune your nav radio into it. And then you'll say, that is the correct station. All right. Higher the receiver, the longer the reception distance, if that makes sense. So the higher up you are, well, the longer the reception. If you're down low in a valley, if you're in mountains and all this, well, that signal, your radios can't pick it up. Right, so that's what we go for. The station, VOR stations, you've probably seen these before. They look like something out of Terminator. You'll see them at airports. They're usually kind of a building with there's a round bit on it. It's not a radar. It's a ground station, and it's for VOR. And the idea being is it's transmitting on each of the radials in a full 360-degree circle. All right. The antenna on the aircraft, you'll often see these on Cessnas. We have them here on our Piper as well. You'll see where their very high frequency aerials are. Aerials, right? And then we have the instrument. We'll have a number of instruments in the aircraft. Some aircraft have two, some have one. And if you're in the digital age, it's all combined into the one digital unit in which you can still operate by VOR. There's a way, if you change the course deviation setting on the Garmin G1000, for example, well, you can change that from a GPS track to VOR to LOC. You can do many different changes with that equipment, all right? So on our VOR indicator, the track is the red line. To and from flags, they sometimes read off, if it'll tell you if it's off, if it's warning. The dots, 2 degrees per dot, indicating the degrees off the track up to a maximum of 10 degrees deflection. That's where your green line is. Your course deflection indicator or deviation, that's the blue line. And then your OBS is your omni-bearing selector. Omni-bearing selector. Sandman, good to see you, buddy. So when we tune in a VOR, the VOR, it works off a nav portion of a radio. We tune into the frequency of that station. We identify the station because we'll have our identifier, right? And every VOR has its own unique identifier. It's transmitted in Morse code. Now, you don't need to understand what the Morse is telling you. You just need to make sure, well, if it says ... dash, well, then you should hear something like that, right? And it might go a little bit slower. After we tune into the station, we turn up the volume and we check that the identifier matches with what we have on the map. And this is at a time there is no GPS, right? So this is why all of this stuff became so important. So we're looking at a chart here. And on the chart, we can see that there's a VOR here down at Block Island. And we can see some information written on it. We'll open up our own charts here now in a moment. But what's important to note is you have the outer circle. That's the indicator to say, yes, this is a VOR. All right. But it's important because a VOR will track magnetic north, not true north. So depending on where you are in the world, we have things like magnetic deviation. The direction of where magnetic north is can change ever so slightly depending on where you are in the world. So for example, if we're looking at this map, well, we would think north is straight up at the top of the page. It's actually not. North is actually about, from this position, it's about 10 degrees to the left, right? So we can see it here. It has a 0. So you have 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 31, and then 30. They're all in... they're all in, whatchamacallit, 30 degrees. But we can see that we have 10. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So they go all the way around, right? Now, on this page, we can kind of work it out. It has VOR DME. DME just means distance measuring equipment, meaning that it'll also give us the direction, but also the range. The range. Wherever you see DME, they want to talk about range, either maintaining a distance or getting towards a distance or keeping a certain distance. That makes sense? You often see it on some approaches. You'll often hear it on ATC. They'll say, reduce to minimum speed until 6 DME. 6 DME, how do you measure that? But what they mean by that, it's 6 miles. 6 DME is basically your distance measuring equipment. Fly in this heading until you're at 6 DME. Or indeed, if there's a procedure, which are always fun to do, they're difficult, you could have a DME arc. What do I mean by a DME arc? You may have heard this before. It's relatively straightforward. Into Bob Ross mode we go. Let's say, for example, here's a runway in which you want to land, okay? And if they say to you, we want you to hold a 6-mile DME arc. Basically how that works is the arc in which you're to fly, you must maintain 6 DME, right, from either the waypoint or the location. That's all they mean by that. So as you're turning, you need to turn in such a way that all along your route, you're maintaining 6 DME. And the reason why they do that, it means you don't do something like this and turn straight in. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by DME. So we'll go back and continue on. Other things we have, we can see the frequency, 117.8, and then you can see these dots and dashes. These dots and dashes, where is it now? The dots and dashes, that is the identifier of that particular station. So in this case, it would be something like this. Right, and we'll have a look at our own charts here for what we're doing today to see what the story is going to be. Here we have a VOR with a DME over on the right-hand side, and you can see, yes, we have radials. The OR means it's a radial, and it's giving you the bearing to say, well, the radial is of the 039. So, okay, 039, that's relating back to our 360 degrees, because we can see the story here when we talk about magnetic north. And then we can see then the range, right? We can then see the range. From and to indicators. So on your aircraft, you're either going to be flying towards the VOR 2, or you're going to be flying from the VOR F4 from 2, right? For any heading set on the top OBS, the VOR will give a from indication. If your position lies on the same side as the radial, this is very important. If you're on the same side of the radial going out, that means you're on the radial. If you're heading towards the VOR, right, on the opposite radial or on the opposite track, it's a course. It's effectively a course, right? And the reason why you have to go into this, Bob Ross again. The reason why you have to go into this, if you're trying to head somewhere, let's say that's our VOR there, right? Great drawings, I know, I'm very talented. And let's say, here's your VOR station in there in the middle, right? And you're over here, say. Well, we know if we were to look straight up, the radial going this way is probably, the 0 radial. This would be the 90 or the 090. This would be the 180 and so on, right? Well, if you were to say, well, I'm currently flying on the radial. It can't be the radial going this direction, right? Which would probably be about 300. Because, well, it doesn't make sense. You're not on the radial. You're on the opposite to the radial. It's quite easy to figure this one out. Always remember that 360-degree circle. That's the most easiest way to plan for navigation. You've 360 degrees. Therefore, if we were on a heading, on our aeroplane, on a heading, right, of, say, let me see, if we're at 300, we would then say, well, we're on... what's the best way to do that? 300. Always get a calculator if you can't count. If you're on the 300 minus 180, you're on the 120 radial, and 120 is going to be roughly down here, right? There's 120. Jesus, will you write that properly? There's 120. So if we were to say, well, where are you? We would say we're on course, 120. Meaning that's going to be, we're heading not towards the 300 radial, right? Because we're not on the radial. We're coming inbound to it. Now we could be saying, well, we've tuned ourselves in to the VOR station. We know roughly, yeah, we're somewhere along this 300 line to be on the radial, and it doesn't matter what direction your aircraft is facing. You can be forwards, up, down, left, right. It doesn't really matter, right? Your course, and this is important, your course is 120 because we're heading towards 120. That's our course, and course is towards. And the reason why we say this, let's say, for example, you're an aircraft down here, and you're flying in the same direction. Well, technically, if you're going this direction, because you're going the same direction as that radial, it's pushing out. Here you would say you are on the radial or tracking the 300 radial. Does that make sense? Because that's the direction in which you're moving towards, yeah? If you're coming against it, you can't be going against the 300. No, you're down at the 180 or the 120. All right. Another reason why it's also coming down to pilot communication if there isn't any ATC. If you were to say, I'm on the radial, for me, that means, well, you're going in the direction, you're in the actual emitting direction of the radial. So if a pilot said to me, I'm inbound on the 300 radial. Okay. My understanding would be, well, he's down here somewhere. Right? He's down here somewhere. That would be my understanding, not that he's up here. Now, if he were to say, I'm on a course of 120 for the 300, well, then I know he's up here. All right, we'll get into that a little bit more, but it's just understanding the movements around that VOR station, and knowing that whatever your frequency is tuned in on, and whatever course, right, or bearing you want to be at, based relative on all of these frequencies being pushed out, or the same frequency being pushed out, that's where it is. Inbound or outbound, yes, terribly important. All right. So, what do we have here? For any heading, that's all grand. Tracking directly to, tune and identify the station, set your OBS needle, center it into the 2 indication, follow the heading that's indicated. The radial you are on will be on the opposite of what's indicated. Keep the needle centered. And don't worry, we'll do all of this when we're flying. Keep the needle centered. If the needle starts to move to the right, you correct it by turning to the right to get yourself back on track. Or if it goes to the left, you turn the aircraft to the left. It's giving you an indication of where it is. If you do need to turn to get yourself back on track, don't turn too much or you'll find yourself overshooting your track and ending up having to correct back again. Aim for about 10 degrees. It's usually enough. So if you're slightly off, aim for about 10 degrees. All right. As you get closer to the station, this is where the crack starts. As you get closer to the station, that needle is going to become very sensitive until it actually flips around, right? So you're going to lose a little bit of accuracy. As you pass the station, the flag is going to change from a to from. Or you could even lose it. You could lose the signal until you go out a little bit more. It's important that you do not track to the station with a from indication. You track to the station with a to indication. You're heading towards, right? The VOR assumes that since you have it set with a to flag, that you're going to the station. Therefore, the correction that the CDI will show will be the opposite if you are not tracking according to the flag. Easy way to remember. Always follow the heading on the top when tracking directly to or from the station with no winds. Now, when we talk about wind deviation, wind blows airplanes all over the shop, especially small aircraft. If you were heading towards a VOR station and it's quite windy, well, your aircraft could be getting pushed off course. The VOR will kind of help you with this because you'll see the deviation or the deflection. You'll see that movement left or right, and your instrument will actually show you it, right? So you can see the difference here now. As you're approaching, everything looks, tickety-boo, but now you have a bit of wind, right? Come down here now, we show you. Now you have a bit of wind. But if you look at what your instrument is going to show you, the instrument is going to show you, well, you require some direction. You are now slightly to the right of the line. All right, so we're going to turn and compensate it. Now we're bang on, but my aircraft is facing way off to the left. And then if we go too far, it's going to show you the deflection is now on your right. So you have to fly into that. This deflection needle, you turn to intercept it. It doesn't, it's not like an opposite, like a spirit level. You've got to fly towards that until you pick it up again. Does that make sense? So when you see the gadget move, it's telling you, hey, you're tracking, but you're slightly off because the wind is blowing you. So you would have to adjust your position. So your deflection needle will show you the magenta line, if we want to call it, because we're used to that. It's not really a magenta line. Let's consider, or let us think there is a magenta line, this magical line coming from the VOR station. Imaginary, of course. We're trying to track that. And because the wind is pushing us off course, well, our deflection needle is going to show us how to get back on course. If the needle turns right, you turn right. Correct and right. You can see it here, right? So the aircraft is to the right, the needle is to your left. You turn left. If you overcompensate and you've gone too far left, you can see your course is to the right, the needle is to the right. All right? Okie dokie. Same crack down here with a couple of more pictures, but you get the idea, right? Now, let me see. Tracking directly away from a station, so now you want to go in the opposite way, because don't forget that VOR station you can go towards or from, and it's very handy. You can navigate if you know where something is by your instruments, plus you have something like DME, distance measuring equipment. You can say, right, I'm going to fly outbound on this heading because I know I have the VOR station behind me. I'll fly out on its radial until I get to 10 miles, then I'm going to go off and do my own thing, right? You tune, very same crack, you tune, identify the station, you set the VOR needle so it's centered with from indication, the little flag says from, keep the needle centered, and if the CDI migrates left, you track right. Remember, you're now going the opposite way. If you're going towards it, if it goes right, you go right. If it goes left, you go left, because you're heading towards it. If you're flying away from it, it's now behind you. If it goes left, you need to turn right. It's reversed. Think of a car reversing. When you're driving forwards, you turn right, the car turns right. If you're reversing and you turn the wheel right, the car starts going left. It's the same concept here. So you need to watch that. So if the CDI goes to the left, you go right. And you have to correct by turning to the left, right? Each dot line indicates 2 degrees of deviation. Intercepting a VOR, a radial to inbound to a station, you tune and identify the station, determine the radial that you want to track, determine the angle that you want to intercept, right? Usually 5-10 degrees. Most inbound intercepts are done at 90 because you use smaller angle of intercept. It's possible that you will not intercept your radial before passing the station. So most inbounds are saying 90 degrees. You could do that. I'd always go, depends. When we get into our flight planning, I'll show you, but I'll always go way smaller to get onto that. And there's some tips, little marks in the aircraft on the instruments you can use to figure it all out, right? What else do we have here now? So that's going to show you tracking toward a station. So this image here, where are you now? We'll zoom in here so we can actually see what we're doing. This image here is showing us that, okay, here's the VOR, hide me, here's the VOR station below, right? And you can see the numbers. So you're out here. Identify the position relative to the radial. All right. Then we're going to make our first turn. So you're tracking the 060 radial. You can see it here. We turn down. We turn to a heading which will permit the aircraft to intercept the radial. Again, let's go 90 degrees. Our heading has now changed to 180, right? As we're flying down, the CDI will move towards the center. You'll turn onto the inbound heading 270. And as we're flying along, our heading is now 270. Eliminate the drift, right? And then you'll see, well, there is the 270 towards, and we're heading in this way. That's the 090 radial, or it's the 270 course. That's where we're heading in. All right. And there's all different ways to, there's different ways in which you can track towards, you can fly away, you can intercept them, you can also triangulate. You can use different VORs to give you a position relative on the map between different VORs. It's pretty cool. The most rapid way to get on a distant radial will be to fly perpendicular straight to it, a 90-degree intercept. To intercept a 270 towards course from the south, fly directly north until the needle centers. To intercept the same line, which would also be the 90-degree fly from the north and then directly south. But we'll figure all this out in the sim when we're flying. What else do we have here now? Passage over the VOR station, full deflection of the needle. It'll move completely off to one side and then it recenters the further away you get from the station. Your flag will change from to to from. All of that stuff happens. All right. So that is VOR, and we'll have a look at it. As I said, it's emitting that frequency on 360 degrees. The non-directional beacon is a different kettle of fish, and so much more easier to understand, right? The non-directional radio beacon is transmitting a signal on the ground. Similar to VOR, it's a frequency, you tune it in and you say, wait, grand, right? Okay. The equipment you need on the aircraft is an ADF. It's an automatic direction finder. Basically, you've seen it before, it's this guy, right? That is the receiver you have in your aircraft. You have a heading, some of them have a heading, well, you do have a heading, and you'll see your standard compass, all right? You have your NDB station, which looks quite different based on the VOR stuff that we've seen. These just tend to be antennas, right? And then you'll see how they look like on the map. The NDB is going to look differently because it's not showing you all these outbound radials. It's all closed, right? So we have a fixed card, a rotatable card, or you have your radio magnetic indicator. We won't get bogged down just on that for the moment, but just be aware that they're there, right? Your fixed compass card, your rotatable card, and your RMI. These are going to depend on the aircraft in which you're flying, and we'll identify which one we have, right? If it's a fixed one, the needle displays relative bearing. In this case, the station has a relative bearing of 270. So that's telling us, hey, our target or our destination or our reference, i.e. the NDB station, is over there at 270 degrees. Okay. If we have a variable card, the pilot manually sets the aircraft magnetic heading at the top of the azimuth, and when this is done, the magnetic bearing to the station is displayed. So you're saying, I'm currently flying this direction. Where is the station now? Oh, it's over there. What if I start flying that direction? Where is it going to be? All right. And then we have the RMI. It's identical to the variable card, except the pilot doesn't have to manually set the aircraft heading. Instead, the azimuth is rotated just like the heading indicator, except it's powered by a remote slaved compass. So, ADF definitions. Relative bearing. The angle between your heading and your heading to the station. Direction you want to track to the station, shown by the indicator needle. Your mag heading or magnetic heading, that's the direction of your aircraft. Your nose is pointing in that direction. That's the direction of the nose, right? Your magnetic bearing, that's the direction flown to the station in still air. Remember now, we're not aiming off for wind yet. So the magnetic bearing, well, it's over that way. Point the airplane in that direction. The ADF indicator displays the bearing to the station relative to the nose of the aircraft. A fixed card bearing indicator always represents the nose of the aircraft as north. Always north, right? So when you look at it, it's literally over there, right? The tail is south, representing the nose of an airplane, or the tail of an airplane, and 180 representing the tail. Some of the ADF dials can be rotated as to align the azimuth to the airplane heading. So you get the idea. Look, see the 0 here, 0 there, and that's how you can turn it. All right. Reciprocal beacon from the station, magnetic north, magnetic heading, relative bearing, and then your magnetic bearing. So before we use, hey Otak, good to see you, buddy. Before using an ADF, you tune into the NDB frequency. So NDB, you use it. NDB is the non-directional radio beacon, or non-directional beacon. It's a beacon, right? That's what's on the ground. NDB is on the ground. The airplane, your nav radios can tune into it, or your ADF radio will tune into it more so, and you're using the onboard automatic direction finder to decode it and put it on your instruments. You tune the station. As with a VOR, it'll have an identifier, Morse code once again. The dial on the ADF or on the ADF must be turned to receive mode, right? And there'll be a Morse code identifier for each station. You'll also find it on the map. Once you've turned in the NDB, it'll point to the station. The selector knob must be on the ADF. You can test it. You allow it to rotate 90 degrees, release the button. When the button is released, the needle should return to its original. We'll do all of this in the aircraft, right? ADF homing to a station. In a no-wind situation, the ADF needle is pointing to the top 0 degrees. When you're tracking directly to the station, you have a relative bearing to the station of 0 degrees. If the needle is not at the top and you want to track to the station, you will have to establish what heading to take up to get the needle pointing to 0. The needle will give you a relative bearing, i.e. the angle between your heading and your heading to the station. And your heading indicator will give you your magnetic heading. If you add magnetic heading to your relative bearing, you will get a magnetic bearing. The magnetic heading you will have to take up to get the needle pointing at the top to 0. This is where we aim off for wind. All right. The example here, your mag heading is 040. Your relative bearing is 050. Then your mag bearing should be your 040 plus your 050. It's going to give you a 090. So that's your aiming point. But that changes, all to do with like wind. To talk about drift correction here now as well, and how do you aim off. Wind speed is going to have a huge ordeal with all of this. The strength of the wind, the direction of the wind, your altitude, your speed, all of that. All right. So we have an idea, at least an understanding of, right, the VOR is the roundy bit and that's transmitting out all over the shop. Grand, right, we've got that one. The NDB is not transmitting all over the shop. It's one single point. It's one single beacon in which then our ADF on board is going to help us to fly there. Right, grand. So what we're going to do in our plane, we're going to figure all this out. Now, for, let me see, I want to add all this into, say, intentions. And there's a reason for this. So we're going to fly on SimBrief with this one, right? And I'm going to replicate our flight here in SimBrief. So on SimBrief, our tail number, we are November 235 Romeo Mike. We're going to be departing out of Homer, and our arrival is going to be Talkeetna, I think it's called, is it? No, Talkeetna. 4,000 feet is what we're planning along our way. And the different waypoints I've put in, they're actually other airports. And the reason why I've gone for airports, well, friends, if we look at this guy here, this is Sky Vector, right? And this is what our route looks like using the US sectional maps, right? So if we zoom in here, well, we'll see, okay, here's Homer. Now, can anyone see anything on this map here? See this big roundy fella? Yeah? Anyone know what that big roundy fella is? Mr. Crumpolo, good morning. Good to see you. So this big round fella here, that's the VOR, right? There's a VOR here because you can see these are all radials. And it's important to note, see the way now, if we wanted to track, you know, true north, you can see that magnetic north is slightly off to the right. Okay, so we need to be careful of that because, well, that's where north is. Magnetic north isn't actually dead straight up the map. It's actually slightly right. We do have an identifier here, so we can see the Homer at 114.6, and we can see it's going to be something like That's what we're going to listen to in the aircraft. So we'll remember that, right? So as we're going to fly out of here, right, we're going to say, right, well, we can fly out on a radial, right? If there's 0, there's 33, 34, 35. We're probably going to be on the 352 outbound. 352 outbound, right? And as we fly out towards that, well, look what we have up here. We get up to, there's another VOR. Isn't that handy, right? So we can see it over here. It's the Kenai, or Kenai, maybe. 116 or 117.6. All right. And if you notice, sometimes these VOR stations, there's the devil right there. There's the airport. Sometimes they're not actually on the airport grounds. They could be to the left of the runway. They could be 2 or 3 miles away up a hill, right? So from there, we're going to track and head to Anchorage. Now, Anchorage has a VOR, so we can track that. And there should be ADF here we can tie in it as well. So we can see, okay, VOR DME. There's DME here. Brilliant. So we know we're going to get a range for this for Anchorage. And if we have a look on the map and we try to identify, well, where is the VOR station here? I can't really see it, right? We'll find it. I'm sure we'll find it if we keep looking. Or it could be located on the airport. We could look at the airport charts. They'll probably tell us exactly where that VOR station is. Right, and then after that, we're going to be tracking north. We have another VOR here, right? Big Lake. We keep on going. And then we come into another VOR, which is going to be the Talkeetna, or Talkeetna VOR. So we VORs all over the shop here. So we're flying today by VOR navigation, and we're going to see what we can do then when it comes to a non-directional beacon, right? So that's what the map is showing us. I've put this in SimBrief. So what I want to do is just go ahead and tell the gadget what I'm doing. So let me see, flight plan on SimBrief. Wait now, can I not import a figure SimBrief? File your flight plan. So say intentions is going to get all of this if I've done this right. Okay, so pre-file on the network, we're going to pre-file it on say intentions. Your flight plan has been sent. So say intentions has a flight plan, right? That's what we want.
Hello there.
Hello there. And we'll get say intentions up and running here as well. And let's see what sort of trouble we can get ourselves into. Right. Daisy, welcome in. Many thanks for the follow. Okay, so we'll just configure some stuff here. There is an update. We'll grab that in a while. Let's come into here. Although knowing my luck, I should have probably grabbed the update. Let's have a look here now. So identity is going to be November. November 235 Romeo Mike. And okay, that. So we're going to be November 235 Romeo Mike. Controls, intercom. So who do we want? We're not using Sky Apps. We're going to use a... we go with a tour guide, I suppose. That'll do. Traffic is off. And that's all grand. Right. Lovely. So let's go in and check out this aircraft. This is the beautiful PA-28 from Just Flight. So looking at our avionics here, well, look, we can see, well, there's no we've no GPS. There's no GPS in this aircraft. There is technically a GPS 100. We're not using it. So we're going to be using all our different radios. And what we're looking for here is, see this ADF? This is our ADF, right? So this is where we're going to tune in the frequencies of our ADF. Now, there's no receive button here that I can see, right? There's we have the Bendix King Gear, but that's the KR85. But we put it on either ADF, antenna, or BFO. It'll be ADF we'll use, all right? We're going to be using nav radios. So if we have a look at our instruments to see, what can we see? Let's see if we can identify what we have, right? So we have our standard 6-pack, airspeed, turn and slip, artificial horizon, altimeter, vertical speed, and we have a HSI. Over here, here's our awesome to and from. So we're going to be using this for VOR navigation because it has to and from on it. That's
Dreamy, sleepy, nighty, snoozy, snooze.
Hey, Muttley, that's where the flags will come on, right? To and from. We have a secondary one here, backup. We have an OBS knob in which we can turn stuff, and we can do the same with this. And then down here in the lower left, this is a ADF, automatic direction finder. All right. So we have sufficient instruments on board to be able to do all of these stuff. Nice. In a box, man. Good morning. Hope you're well, buddy. All right. So what we're going to do to get the aircraft up and running. Hello, Just Flight. Let me see now. Fuel and payload. Let's get in here now. So we're going to say give us 75% fuel. And it's just ourselves flying on this one today. So we'll go ahead and close that. We're going to remove the chocks of the tie downs. Headwind components, that's all grand. Yokes are there. Trim sensitivity. And we have this HSI if we want, or we can turn that off. Rather than a HSI, we just have a direction indicator. I love flying with a HSI, right? So I'm going to use HSI. There we go. Now we go back one here. Flight plan, aircraft. I think everything else is grand. Settings, yeah, that's all fine. That's all fine and tickety-boo. Right, so we're going to close all this off. Now we do have access, we do have access to our flight plan, right? So if I were to go into official flight plan or operational flight plan, you can see this is what we're doing. All right. So if you guys want to do now, you should be able to use some of these new say intentions commands, right? So if you want to put in, you know, exclamation point METAR, you'll see what the commands are. So it's exclamation point SI dash commands. You'll see what you'll be able to do, and we'll see how this all works. So what do we have here? Reload. No, that's grand. METAR situations. So I can see that, right? So I've some not ideal news. Someone decided to hurt my lovely BMW. It needs 2 doors. Oh no, epic fool. I don't believe you. Did they break the indicators? Was side impact, was it? Jesus. You poor old devil. You poor old devil. Was there anyone hurt? I hope you're well, buddy. Right, let's have a look here now. So that's all grand. That's all grand. That's all grand. What we're going to have a look at the flight plan. The reason being is we're going to get frequencies along the way in which we can turn into, right? Or tune into. So we can see weather information there, but this is what we want to be honing in on here, the airport, right? So we can see all sorts of information. Airport approaches. Airport information. FIR stuff, don't worry about that. So we can grab the information from either our flight plan, or indeed we can grab it directly from whatchamacallit. We can grab it for off our chart. We'll grab it there, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to start putting some power into this aircraft. We're finished with our tablet. We're going to go for the battery switch. So before we get going, we're going to make sure parking brake is set, landing gear is in the down position, flaps are up. Battery coming on. And we'll also get the alternator on here as well. Get our beacon light on, because we're going to be starting up this machine now shortly. Make sure our controls are set, which they look to be set. We have mixture, we'll go fully rich. And let me see here now. We're going to go to our fuel pump. We have a bit of fuel pressure coming in. I think we have... fuel is already turned on. There's our landing gear. That's all looking good. We'll go high. Open throttle. Close the throttle, pump off. Okay, so we're going to start her up now and see what happens. We'll say clear prop, open the window, and let's see what happens. Right, left, both, and start. Alright, we got a good start. Watch the RPM. Engine's a little bit cold. Okay, we'll ease off the RPM. We want to keep it at about 1,000. Lower out the mixture so we're not caking the old plugs and carbon. So that's a good start to me. Close the window, lock it down, and now we'll continue on with some of our checks. So, alternator is on. Pitot heat will probably need. Transponder is currently set to standby. And we do have an avionics master switch hiding here somewhere that will have to turn on all of our stuff. Let's have a look. Alternate air, there's the fan. Is there an avionics switch, or we just turn stuff on and off? Nav or GPS, we're going to be on nav mode for this. Let us see. Turn this guy on. There we go. There's live, Jim, but not as we know it. And then we'll have our ADF. We also have our comm radio, so this is going to be what we need to do, right? Let me see here now. I was using my indicators. I think they had no opposite, or they had no effect. Ah, jeez, it's epic. Despite the fact that it sucks big time, you're all good. The car is insured. Yeah, it's metal, 100%. Right, make sure our door is closed and latched, which it is. And everything here behind us looks good as well. All right. So we're going to start planning our radio frequencies. So to do this, we can use many tools. We can use our sectionals, we can use Navigraph. We have a lot of options here, right? So for this, we're going to use Navigraph, and I'm going to turn on sectionals for this. Where are we now? There we go. So we're going to have a look at some of our different VOR stations. Now, Homer is on the 114.6, or if we want, we can tune into Kenai. We're going to do this one. So it's going to be 117.6. 117.6, and the identifier is going to be dot, dash, dot, dot, dash. Alright, so 1176. Now we may not get this on the ground. Remember, there's obstacles in our way, so we'll have to watch this, right? So 1176, there's 117.6, and that's on, right? And we'll see what happens. Flights and mods, Shane, a very good day to you, sir. Hope you're well. Feel like you're studying for your nav endorsement again? Run away, it's not safe. Hope you're well, buddy. Thank you very, very much indeed. Hope you're well. Hayden, good to see you. Yeah, the engine rumble on this, just flight aircraft or class. So we have that dialed into our nav 1, 1176. All right. Now, if we wanted to, in our nav 2, well, why don't we tune in the outbound, right? So we'll tune in the outbound, and that's going to be 114.6, right? So 114.6. So we have nav 1 and common. See the way so we're getting that because we're right here, by the way, on our nav 2. We're actually right at the station. That's why it's picking up. See the needle moving? If I were to just change the frequency, the needle drops. See the red flag? However, if I just change this, it's telling us we're facing towards this airport. Now we're going to use this as nav 2. That's why the Arrow is such a great airplane to train in, because they give you nav 1, nav 2 and ADF indicators on the aircraft. On top of that, we have a HSI as well. Very, very handy, right? Now, there's other things we need to consider, lads, in these aircraft. Hey, Crotty, thank you very much indeed for 9 months. You legend. There's other things you need to consider. Real world flying, the phenomenon of gyroscopic drift, or, gyro drift. Basically what happens is your gyroscopes are all spinning. And the idea being is they spin so fast that it shouldn't really worry about how the airplane is moving. The instruments are able to stay independent of what forces you apply to it within reason. The problem is, because you have all of that vibration from the gyro and from the engine and so on, it tends to drift. As in the gears and the little instruments, they kind of move a little bit. So you need to be careful with that. Either, you can put a button to reset gyro drift, or every kind of 5 to 10 minutes, make sure your heading on your compass, right, your magnetic compass, matches up with what your HSI or what your instruments are showing. They will deviate usually a couple degrees every couple of minutes, or how many vibrations are in the aircraft. It is simulated. I think you can turn it off, but I like to have it on. It's an extra challenge, Steiny, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. So looking at our aircraft here before we go, oil temperature is coming up, pressure's looking good, amps are looking good, plenty of fuel on board, right? So there are main things we want to look at. RPM is looking good, we have our fuel flow and manifold pressure, all of that's looking good to me. EGT is our exhaust gas temperature, worry about that when we get into the cruise. That's all about getting the most efficient use of the engine from the air to fuel mix ratio, right? The higher you get, the less air there is, the harder the engine works. So you need to kind of adjust how much air is going in there. GPS, we're not going to use it. We have some backup instruments and a Hobbs meter, and we have all our circuit breakers, which are all fully modelled as well, lads, in the Just Flight aircraft. We also have our alternate air to power up the gyros, but we should be grand. What else we need? Gyro suction, that's working fine. If we have a problem here, we'll try it on the alternate air. All right? So, with that said, we have our frequencies dialed in. The 1176 is our first destination. The 114.6 is where we're currently at. And we're going to try now and use both of these to give us some sort of an indication of what we're doing. Right, lovely. So we're going to get ourselves lined up here to see if we can go flying. So someone did get the meter. I saw that there in the chat. So let me see. Automated 060 at 10 knots. Rain, overcast. So I should really turn on real world weather, but I suspect we're not going to see a shagging thing. which is probably the way we should do it. But we'll leave it sit for the moment because it'll get very dark very quick, right? So let me see. Landing light comes on. Strobe on. Well, it's not really a strobe. It's more of a anti-collision light. And we'll have a quick look here to see where we're going to blast off from. So easy does it, Jemima. Got the runway straight ahead of us. I think our lights are working. There we go. Do we not have other lights in here, no? Low voltage is grand. There's some lights going on in here. Alright. So we'll taxi forward, take our time, and we'll see what this is going to do. As I said, it's a beautiful aircraft. Stunning. So we're going to do a quick run-up test here. Right, that'll kind of do it. So, parking brake on. Mixture is going to go full. We're going to increase our RPM. Easy now, Jemima. Down a bit. Okay, 2000 on the RPM. Mag test. Let's go to the right mag. There's a drop. Somewhere between 50 and 100 RPM is fine. Back to both. Regains. Left mag. There's a drop. Back to both. Increase the RPM. Get us up to about 2200. We're going to cycle the prop. Okay, one drop. RPM drops. That's what we want to see. Second one, we're going to see our fuel flow drop. There she goes. And the third one we're going to see is the manifold pressure increase. Which it does. Okay, run up complete. That all looks good to me. We're going to come off the brakes. Taxi forward. Squawk is 7,000 for the moment. It is kind of VF4, so we're alright. Name a plane for an edit. Airprint's good to see it. We could go with a notch of flaps. So our plan here is, as we take off, we're going to fly the runway heading and see what way our instruments react. We're focusing on this top one here, look. That's the guy we want, but we haven't picked up the signal yet, so we'll see what happens, right? There goes idle cut off. Alright, so quick check. So we're walking, talking, soon to be squawking. Let's go flying. Watch the overboost. Alright, our takeoff power is set. Airspeed coming alive. There's 60 knots. There's 70. Oopsie daisy. Alright, positive rate of climb and indicating. Gear up. $90 knots. And as we get a little bit higher, our instruments will start turning on, yeah? So I'll add a bit of trim here. And what we can do, because we have an autopilot, right? We're going to set the autopilot to our heading mode, right? And we're going to continue to fly on a heading as we gain altitude. Name any commercial planes. A Boeing 737. Okay, so we're going to aim roughly for here, right? Autopilot unit, let's go down and have a look. Autopilot on, heading on. And that means we're going to start chasing this. Now, look at this. The good news is, lads, we've just now received information of where we're heading to. So we now need to get this all on track. You can see that the line that we want is miles off to our left. Great news. So that means we're going to have to turn left to start intercepting this. The advantage we're also using is on our HSI. Again, you can show us where the bearing is. So for me, right, for me to intercept this, I can say, right, well, what radial do I want to be heading towards? Right? I can go just direct, or I want to say, well, no, I want to approach the airfield from a certain radial, all right? So to do this, if we open up our charts here, we'll say, right, okay, well, I want to kind of intercept on, well, there's 180. So what if I did, like, you know, 170? Well, let's see what happens. So if we want to go on the 170, 170, and remember, we want to go opposite. So 170 plus 180, 350. 350, that's what we want to aim for. So there's 36, there's 35. See the way we've dialed that in? I'm now going to move my heading indicator to intercept that, right? Because I want to fly towards this line. So the intercept, they're talking 90 degrees or 45 degrees. This intercept means this line will start moving in shortly. And if we look at this indication here, we're still flying towards 2, yeah? And if we look at the one behind us, we're now flying from. Okay, what about understanding, is this the right frequency? Remember, on our chart, we want to be listening to, where is, you know, it's going to be this guy here, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot. So over to our radio, nav, turn up the volume, this could be like shock and low. Okay, I can barely hear it. So we'll go into our settings and just show this one off. So if we go into sound for a moment, they really need to, like, it's all aircraft developers need to do is something where, like, you can just hear the avionics. Turn off the engine sounds, right? Even that's too loud. Hang on. Sound, it's the environmental sounds, isn't it? Environment. And we'll leave that off as well. And let's have a listen now. We should hear it. You hear that? So that's the right one. We now know, yeah, we're tuned into the right frequency because that sound is coming from our radios. All right, so we're happy enough with that. Back in here, we'll tidy things up. While I'm here, I'll do one of these. And back into our sounds. We need to get something that just like makes the sounds better on all aircraft, you know. All right, so as we're flying here, watching our speed, 4,000 feet. We could probably level this guy off here now. Just didn't there used to be like a hidden button? So we'll level off here at around 4,000 feet or so. All right. Tablet is still up, and well, the whole idea is we don't want to be using the tablet. Now let's have a look at this. So we've tuned in, we want to be on the 350. You can see now our current heading, we're intercepting this line. This is getting closer and closer and closer, and when we do get all this aligned,
look at that, we're flying near Homer, Alaska, home to the famous Homer Spit. Now, I know we're not right over it just yet, but this wee town is the gateway to Kachemak Bay and is known as the halibut fishing capital of the world. The town itself was founded in 1896 by gold miners, but these days it's the artists, fishermen and a few wild poets who call it home.
Good man, Murphy. We can also see this line here. Now, if we want to get our backtrack out of the other VOR, the one behind us, if we were to tune in something to say, well, we're outbound on the radial of 161918, we're almost on the 180. So if we turn this guy opposite Murph, it should be up around the 300s. Easy. As we turn this 330, 340, 350, we need to start making our right turn. See the way these are now aligning, right? They're all starting to move in. There's the 350 outbound, and I want the 350 inbound. Well, we're going to start making our turn to the right here, right into 330 degrees. And let's see how all this goes, right? We're into some mad weather here. Altitude is looking good. We're going to ease off our power a little bit. What's the RPM doing? Let's bring it back to about 2400. Manifold pressure, bring it back to about 30. That'll do. Okay, so let's have a look here now. So our main nav 1 is our station we're flying towards, right? So we want this to be bang on level. The outbound that we're getting from where we just taken off from, right? That's going to be giving us the outbound on probably 160 roughly, right? Okay, that looks a little bit closer. So we're going to keep turning the aircraft so we're intercepting. This is looking pretty good here. So far, so good. And we'll see if we can find something with an ADF here now in a moment as well. So we can see from our instruments here how close and how accurate this is, yeah? Which is great news. And then we can get into some DME information as well. Do that in a moment. So this is looking fairly sharp. We're now going to turn and hold that, right? Make sure your gyro drift isn't drifting. So showing this now, we can see, yes, we're on track. We're now heading directly towards the VOR, right? And we know that we've dialed in on the 351 or 352 course towards that radial, all right? Now, the other thing we can do is, because we know the facility has DME, distance measuring equipment, but we can use our equipment over here to say, hey, this is the distance to that waypoint. And if I were to change this, if I were to go off this frequency ever so slightly, I'll lose all this information because I'm on the wrong frequency. If I dial in 117.6, I can hear the identifier. I know that's the correct station. I now know my current speed is 150 knots. My distance to that station is just 44.5 nautical miles. This is going to tell me I'm there in about 17 minutes. All right? And bearing in mind, we're not using GPS here. So now it's purely a mission of trying to keep things as accurate as we possibly can to make sure everything's straight and level. All right? So far, so good. Now, on the charts, is there an ADF we can tune into? Well, let's see if we can find one, right? Or an NDB, I beg your pardon. Can we dial into an NDB? Let's see. Remember the icon and what they look like, right? And here's the thing, in the real world, as I say, NDBs, they're not very popular anymore. They're phasing them out. VOR pretty much replaced them, and then GPS is replacing VOR. You know what I mean? Now, we can use things to help us out to say, well, look, where is the nearest NDB? We can cheat a little bit. I'm just looking around here for an NDB. We might get something maybe up the road a bit. I don't see anything kind of jumping out at me. However, there are ways in which we can look up NDBs, right? You can see me except for the snow, right? Let's have a look here now. So that, yeah, that's working. If we were to do, there is an option to do this in Navigraph. So if we were to look for, search for, let's see here now, airports, pinboards, user waypoints. Is there a way to find like nearest?
We're flying near Ninilchik, Alaska. Now, this wee village was settled by Russian colonists way back in 1847.
Hello there.
Before Alaska was even a twinkle in America's eye.
James O'Dowd, thank you very much indeed.
Russian Orthodox Church, sitting up on the
Did your solo navigation 5 days ago? Nice, man. That's awesome. Well done. Captain HMW, well done, buddy. Right, let's have a look here. It's as dark inside here. Nav is grand. Alright, let's pretend we're cheating and we have a phone, right? So, if I were to go to nearest, usually the aircraft GPS to do all of this. Airports, no. Let's see, is there a way to find nearest? Let's see now. So we want to track the nearest either VO or sorry NDB, right? I can probably do it in the sim because this guy will take over if we turn on our GTN. So we'll have a look at our GPN here, right? Because I just want to see, can this gadget tell me what our closest is, right? Let's have a look. Now you can see our deviation is moving from Homer, our first airport. So we can see now that it's behind us. It's behind us to our left, yeah? And we'll change our heading accordingly. Right, let me see. Waypoint info, nearest. So I'm looking for a NDB. No, there's no NDBs here at all. What about VORs? Okay, it takes a second to load. Let's go back to NDB. Ah, here's one. It's 23 miles away. Have a look at this one, right? So the Ketchimak NDB, it's on a frequency of 277. All right. Airlock, thank you for that. So it's going to be 277. So we'll come over to our gadget here. We're going to go in 277, and we're going to go ADF. And when we do this, see this needle here? That just started getting all sorts of exciting, right? So if I were to say, right, let's put in our current heading ourselves, because it's pointing towards it, yeah? That's going to point towards that station. And because it's a non-directional beacon, it's just saying it's directly behind you. Now, if I were to turn the aircraft, and we might just do this, we're going to do a bit of a mad one here. We're going to do a left turn over to 300 degrees, right? We're going to fly off the line and then we'll fly back in again. Do you see the ADF moving? The ADF is showing me, hey, that waypoint, the NDB, is actually behind you and it's over there relative to my position. So that's how it's showing you where it is. And it's not nowhere near as precise as using a VOR. But you get the concept. My plane is going this direction. That NDB is over my left shoulder. That makes sense? Okay, if we turn back on course, let's give it 030 degrees. Well, you're going to see this guy moving now again. If I do this correctly, it should be out over my right shoulder. Because it's a fixed point, right? It's a fixed location in which then we want to fly around it. So we keep turning. It's now directly behind us. And you can see now, as we're turning, it's not moving. I mean, it stays where it is. You can now see, once we level out, yep, it's actually over my right shoulder behind me. So that's your ADF. That's your automatic direction finder. It's over there, right? That's what it's effectively. That's what it's doing. All right. So we'll tidy ourselves up here, and we'll turn off our ADF because we don't need it because we're using VOR. So we'll turn that off. The needle should reset, which it has. And now we just keep an eye on what we're doing over here by making sure that all our instruments start to line up. And you can kind of see now the accuracy of eyesight and how well it's needed, because this needle, see it moving in? That's fairly bang on now. So let's now turn, intercept that course. You want to be doing it within kind of 5 degrees. That's when you start your turn, right? But you can see how accurate you want to be able to align all of these things, all these lines up. Do you know what I mean? There's always a Muppet, isn't there? There's always a Muppet.
And would you look at us now, flying over the wilds of Alaska, and the closest bit of civilization is the Grand Korea Creek Airport. Now, this wee airstrip might not look like much from above, but it's a lifeline for the folks down below, especially when the roads are snowed in or the bears are feeling a bit...
Right, so we're going to turn that ever so gently, and this should move things here a little bit slower. And then once she lines up, like that's moving really slowly at the moment. Really slowly, right? So go in here and have a gawk. You can see the alignment here slightly out. But this, we're on a nice little intercept. This will all start moving back to where it needs to be in a moment. And we can kind of see, yeah, look, that imaginary magenta line, if you like, is slightly off to our left. So we'll have to just turn in gently just to make sure that's all intercepted. Now, if it was the case that we had a lot more wind to contend with, we'd have to get a little bit more aggressive aiming off, or our deflection would have to go a little bit off, right? But it seems to be relatively okay. This is almost bang on center. This guy is almost bang on center. And we'll do that. So looking at our instruments now, we're going to be there in 10 minutes. We're 25 miles out and our airspeed is about 145 knots. So we're flying without the need of GPS. Isn't that only brilliant? Now, if it was the case that we had like zero visibility up here, but we're confident enough to know, well, we're pretty much where we're supposed to be. I mean, we are where we're supposed to be, right? So we can, you know, we've seen how the ADF works when it comes to a non-directional beacon. That's just a beacon on the ground. It's a fixed location, and your aircraft instrument, i.e. the ADF, that'll just point in the direction of it's over there, right? No range, no nothing. It's just, it's there, right? The VOR, however, is you can track on a certain bearing or one of the radials, right? We have DME, so we know the distance to or from, and our instrument is telling us here, are we tracking towards or from that station? Well, Nav1 is tuned into our first stop, so we're tracking towards it. And you can see here we're now slightly off to the right, so we need to correct that. Right? The second Nav2, that's our origin. That's where we came from. So if we wanted to, you know, get back to that, flying away from it, we would need to do a full turn and turn our heading to about 172 degrees. And that would, so you can kind of see straight away now, right, our current heading, we're on a heading of about 352 degrees. Minus 180 from that, that's going to tell you, okay, I need to do what's called a back course or fly back to it. All right? Weebles from Discord, good to see you, man. Hope you're well. Okay. So if there are no further questions, we should be grand. Because it's so much fun just navigating doing this, you know. To guesstimate what the drift of wind is going to do during your flight, it's cool. Yeah, 100%. So there are ways of figuring out, you know, what the wind is doing. Yes, you'll have your weather reports, ATIS, METARs, and all the jazz. Pilot reports could help. You could have onboard equipment that's measuring that as well. Or indeed, you would do it the old-fashioned way. You would time your distance from one destination or one point to another point, and then you would calculate the deviation. If I'm at a heading of 360, but when I got there, I landed off on like 10 degrees, you would work out that 10 degrees drift based on this airspeed over this distance. You can work it back in, and you would adjust your course or your heading to compensate. All very, very cool stuff. So we'll do another slight right turn. 18 miles out to our first stop. It is a beautiful day for flying. Rather than worrying about what's going to be, you know, VFR or IFR. What we're doing here, this is just beautiful flying. So I suppose we'll kind of sit back and enjoy some tunage as we go flying here. Yes, Roy, we can see your messages, bud. No, good to see you, buddy. Happy Thursday. Right. Where is this now? We'll do one of these and one of those. So let's get an idea of where we're at now. Now remember, as we get closer to the station, it's going to move a little bit because that VOR station may not be precisely where the airport is. All right. So we'll need to kind of account for that. Now this our VOR indicator, I mean, this is showing us we're bang on the money, right? If anything, we're ever so slightly off to the left, ever so slightly, but it's nothing I need to worry about, right? See how shine out to the screen. So at the moment, we're looking good. All right. Range, we're looking good. We're going to be there now in just a couple of moments. We're 4 minutes out, 10 miles, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to adjust our altitude, and we're going to ease off the power. And we drop the power, the nose will drop itself. There she goes. And we'll compensate with a small bit of trim, so we're not descending like an absolute mad joke. Now, the closer we get to that station, remember, it is not the airport. You'll have to check your charts to say, well, hang on, the VOR is actually slap bam in the middle, right? In this case, it's not. In actual fact, I think if we were to look at the chart, we would see that the VOR station is actually off the airport. So if we see, there's the airport, you can all see that on the screen. And if you go over to here, well, that's where the VOR is. So the VOR is actually to the northwest of the airport. So you can kind of see now, right, we need to work out the distance and also a new bearing that'll take us directly to the airport. So if this is the case and we couldn't actually see the runway, right, if we were in IMC, we would have had to say, right, when we get to a certain distance, probably the 10-mile marker, we would need to change our heading left, because we can't intercept the VOR. We're going to overshoot the runway. That makes sense? Right. So what we're going to do, we're going to disengage the autopilot. We'll take back control of the aircraft. And what we're going to do, we're just going to do a right 360 because I can see the airport ahead of us, right? If we were to maintain this current course, we would definitely overfly that VOR station, right? Because we want to head to the airport, we're now within range, it's visual, we can see what's happening. So we're just going to turn ourselves around here so we can go in for a quick landing. And of course, you'd be using things like, you know, ATC would be helping you along. You know, if there was other frequencies in which we can tune into, perhaps ILS, all that jazz is there as well. There could also be a published VOR approach to the runway. And if you were to look at your charts, they would actually give you the instructions to say, okay, when you get to 10 DME, you're going to make a left turn on this heading, and you're going to continue on for 4 miles until, you know, so like they will guide you in. Okay, we're going to increase our RPM to help slow the aircraft. And we're keeping the manifold pressure low. Our speed is about 130 knots. Just as we descend here, we just circle around. We're coming up on 2,000 feet. Make sure our barrow is correct. And we'll get a little warning every now and a while. It's just telling us that the gear should be down. Now, with the PA-28s from Just Flight, they do have the emergency gear. It's an automatic emergency gear. If the gear doesn't, if you don't deploy the gear in time, it'll do it for you based on airspeed. But we won't worry about that just yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to drop the gear. Gear is coming down, and we're going to ease off our descent. So even though we're 8 miles from the VOR station, we're only about 4 miles to the airport. Alright, speed coming down nicely. Ease back now. A little bit of power, get the nose back up. And we're lucky because we're visual. We can see where the runway is. We can see the lads over there. So we're going to continue on this heading and just do a visual approach for this one. Now, a great day flying would be, it's VFR on departure and arrival, but it's IMC in the middle bit. That's where you would rely heavily on your instrument flying. Or indeed, if it was IMC in both locations, we have to go via IFR. Well, then your instrument flying is so important, knowing that you'd need to do certain departures and arrivals. So we've loads of time here. We'll start a bit of a shallow right turn. And I think the runway is 02. We've 02 left and 02 right. 02 left is what we're going for. 02 right is a much smaller runway. Hammer Nails, good to see you. How in an emergency are you able to read the very clogged chart? Roy, it's all done prior to your flight. I mean, that's where your flight planning comes into this. You know, real world flying, depending on how familiar you might be with the route, your flight planning could take considerable time. And you're working off timings. You're working to say, right, at this waypoint it'll take me 20 minutes, the next waypoint that's a further 5 minutes. Like, all of these things come into play. Alright, so we're a little high. We're going to ease off that power now. We'll go for a notch of flaps to keep that drag going. And well, we can see the runway, so we'll just ease our way into it. Looking good. Beautiful part of the world. Slazzy, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. The constant speed prop in this arrow always gets me when throttling down. Somehow I'm always used to the revs dropping as well, but the prop keeps its speed until minimum speed. The governor is achieved again. Yeah, like usually, like when I'm flying, I'll always ease off the prop, and then, you know, before, as I'm slowing down, I'll increase the prop, because that'll help with actually a small bit of drag as well, right? So second notch of flaps. There is a little bit of wind here. You can see the aiming off, right? Gear is down. 3 greens. And let's ease our way in for this one. Easing out. A little bit of wind. Speed is good, about 90 knots. Probably a little bit fast, but we'll just get over these trees here first. Whoa! There's a bit of wind hitting us. That'll wake you up in the morning. Alright, runway 2 left. Here's our touchdown zone. Keep flying towards it. And at about 15 feet, we'll go flare, power back, hold the nose, and ease her down. There's a touch. Try and keep it on center line. Small bit of manual braking. There's 50. Flaps back in. Turn off that radio beacon as well. Big business. Good to see you, Murph. I finally caught a stream after the weekend. Really enjoyed the meetup. I'm meeting everyone. Moses Stick and Pimax are on my wish list. Oh, nice, buddy. I'm Nelson. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Hope you're well. Alright, we'll exit over this side. Now, there is another runway we'll cross, so we'll keep our lights on. Easy now. Where is that other runway? Is that a runway? No, I think the runway is further down. Interesting. Alright, let's ramble over. Not at all. Yeah, Naughty, it was good fun, buddy, but like, don't be worrying, man. We'll have more, don't you worry, we'll have more. Alright, so we'll jump off here into the left. Crowley Fuels. They're up here. Max Stallion, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Brent, you're very welcome in. Alright, let's have a look. We'll go straight across. And we'll go in by the tower. Taxi lights are a little bit mad here, look. Rob, good morning. Hope you're well. And Yeah, we'll park up near the tower here. All right. Okay, so we'll hold station here. Park and brake on. And we'll tidy up some stuff in here. So we're going to go transponder off. Landing lights off. Avionics, we'll... Not real avionics, but we'll turn off the ADF. Mixture out. Alright. And we can power down the batteries. Bring our prop back. And get our door open. Okay, so our first stop. And we're on the ground here. And that was somewhat fairly straightforward without too much worrying, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to do another one. Is there a stream scheduled for tonight? There is. A little bit earlier, yes. So we have one more flight to do here. I won't get the whole routing done, but we're going to head up now to Anchorage. And bit of interesting weather, actually. We'll go live. Will we try live weather for the sheer crack of it? Oh, yeah. So on this one, we're going to go live weather. So let's have a look now at our next routing. And we can figure out some of the frequencies that we need. All right. And while we're here, I forgot to turn on OnAir. So we're going to do this as a single flight with OnAir from here to there. And everything should dial in correctly. So this is a 51-mile hike, right? And we can see, well, look, we have some nav aids along the way. We have a VOR here. We also have a VOR up at Anchorage, and we can actually see the location of it. So the VOR at Anchorage, 113.15, it's actually on the airport itself. See that? It's actually on the airport, which is great news. So we will be tuning into that, and we'll see how we get on. 113.15 is what we're going to aim for. When we're leaving here, we're going to keep 1176 dialed in, because when we take off, we're actually going to intercept this VOR first, right? So we're going to say, right, well, we're going to fly here first to the VOR, right? And then we're going to continue on, and we'll plan that we're going to intercept this VOR. All right. And if we were to look at the charts of the airport, we could see, well, look, is there like what approaches are here for us, right? So if we were to look at Anchorage, let me see here now, PANC. And if we look at some of the information here, if we look at some of the procedures, right? So our arrival or our approach, there's ILS or there's RNAV. Now we don't have RNAV capability. We're not using GPS. ILS could work, right? So if we have a look at the runways, it's probably giving us 07 left. So 07 left is what it wants. So 07 left is actually over here. All right. So if we look at the procedure, an ILS for 07 left, that means we'd want to be flying first. I mean, we could just follow on that routing, but I do want to use the VOR. So call it final. So this is where you start working out, you know, how do we get... We want that one, so I want to add that. Let's see, filtered runway 07, because it favors 07, doesn't it? Well, what's over here? Look, do we have other options for nav equipment? Don't see a lot on that side. So what we would have to do, we would use the outbound radial from here, and then we'll use an inbound radial, and where the two of them will meet up based on the distance, we would say, okay, we should be X amount of miles from here and X amount of miles from there, and where the two of them cross paths, that'll then say, right, this becomes our new waypoint. That's how we'll figure it out, right? So to do that, our current course is up from here. So if I drag this guy, right, and if I say, well, look, that's roughly where I want to get to. All right, let's have a look. So I'll know the distance from the VOR. I'll want to be 39 miles away from the Kenny VOR, but I'll also need to be 16 miles away from the anchorage VOR. So by having both my nav frequencies tuned in, one towards, one from, I would need then to check to make sure, right, once I'm at, say, 30 miles, right? If I'm at 30 miles, I'll need to figure out where the 16 miles is going to become kind of active, yeah? So that's how we're going to do this. So we're saying, right, we'll have, and there's going to be deviation with the wind as well. I'm not too worried from that. In order for us to maintain this correct lateral position, that means we're going to have to choose an outbound radial, right, from the VOR station. And in order to do that, we can see, well, north is here, 030 is there, so there's 0, 1, 2, 3. So 0, 1, there's like 5. So it looks like it's going to be a 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2 is what we're going to be heading for. 0, 1, 2. Is that right? Yeah, 0, 1, 2. Slightly off, right? So we're going to be on the 0, 1, 2. And we're going to try and maintain that radial dialed in, right? And we're going to fly for 39 miles. When we do that, we're going to want to intercept another VOR. And if we have a look at this VOR, it'll give us the arrow. We see here now. It's a little bit hard to see in the chart, but we'll figure it out. Here's 300, 330. There's north, right? Okay. So if that's, let me see, 33, 29, 28, 27, 26, 24, 25. That looks to be the 250 inbound. 250, yeah? In actual fact, you can see it here. 253. So when we get to 39 miles, we do a right turn, but we don't turn right to 253. How do we get the bearing if we want to fly in the opposite direction of 253? Remember what we said? We take or add 180 degrees, all right? So if we were to look at, say, 253, if I have a calculator here, where did my calculator go? There it is. So if we're saying 253 minus 180, it's going to be 073. Yeah? Because we want to go the opposite direction. It's 180 degrees. Remember, 360 degrees in our circle. If we're going 270, well, the opposite to 270 is 90, yeah? If we're going to be down on 253, well, the opposite of that is going to be 073. That make sense? What I used to do, I used to write it down like a clock. But it looks like a clock, but it's not. So you'll have, 0 at the top, 9 to the right, 18 to the bottom, and 27 to the left. And I'd always get roughly, doesn't have to be pinpoint, roughly somewhere between 090 and 180, somewhere in between that, or somewhere between 00 and 090. That make sense? Right, okay. So we're going to enter the world here for crash logistics with our excellent on-air manager, and we're going to do a free flight. So abandon that, yes, browse our logistics center. I'm just going to do a free flight. It should be detecting us. We're not an X-plane. Preferences, we're over in Microsoft Flight Sim. Go ahead and grab that. Thank you. I'm going to go back one, and it'll detect all of this. No aircraft detected in the simulator. Should do. It knows we're connected to the sim. There we go. So we're at PAEN. It's detected that we're in a PA-28. This is going to be a free flight, and we're going to head up to PANC. PANC, Ted Stevens. That's where we're going. We'll get 1,300 quid for this one. We won't say no to that. We're going to click fly now. And let's see what happens. We'll click fly now, and this will have an impact on the aircraft and all the jazz. So our destination is going to be PANC. If it goes wrong, we'll come back to where we had started off from. We're going to set 80% fuel on the aircraft. We have a passenger with us, and we're going to validate our payload and our fuel, and then we need to do a UTC offset. So what time is it currently in the sim? Let us see. Why is that oh, just look at that. The prop is spinning with the wind. That's fantastic. Jesus. Can we feather that? No. Look at that. The prop is spinning like an absolute mad joke. I can't feather that. Be Janie. Keep the L mags off, Murph. Right. That's just windmilling. Surprised it's going that fast, but that's the wind we're up against. Time of day. Don't think I have it on the yoke. Can't see. Battery. 1325. So we want to go 1325 local. We'll call it 12:59. Let's click fly now. This will change the date and time in the sim. If we go start tracking, 12:59. Let's change the date and time. Starting our flight track with OnAir. OnAir is now doing what it needs to do. All right. So before we go, let's configure our radios because we need these, lads. We're going to need to figure this one out. 39 DME. You need to remember that when we're at 39 DME from this VOR. Right, not from the airport, but from the VOR. Our first job, we need to intercept the 117.6. All right, well, 1176 is still dialed in. 117.6, that's already dialed in, right? Nav 2 is what we're going to aim for, and then we'll swap them around mid-flight. So Nav 2 is going to be dialed into this guy, Ted Stevens, and it's going to be 11315. 11315. Okay, now what about where we're aiming for, right? So we're getting a reading here, we're not getting a reading there. So we were saying 073 is what we want. Now we'll have to turn this guy, right? So there's 06, 07, 073. And the idea being is we're telling this, hey, when I get onto that 073 heading, I'm expecting that the radial on our VOR will line up perfectly straight, meaning that's going to be my right turn to intercept and then to fly it in, right? Enzo, good to see you. Thank you for the follow. All right, so we're happy enough with that. We'll get airborne, we'll start flying, and then we'll swap over because we'll have, it's a little bit easier to read this guy. Do you know what I mean? Now, if we want to do, to intercept our first VOR, right, we're going to be blasting off here from PAEN. So what is it actually going to give us here? PAEN. Let's go back here. PAEN. It's a municipal airport. We should have weather. Runway 02. All right. So we're going to blast from 02. We came in on 02. We're not going to use the smaller one. We're going to use 02 left. There's a bit of a crosswind, right? For us to intercept, let's have a look at the radial here. For us to fly direct to, it's going to be 017. I'm not overly worried. I just need to get a bearing from the end of the runway to where that VOR station is. I'm not too worried because it's so very close to us. We're talking 4 miles, 3 miles, right? So when we take off, we'll just make sure that everything is tuned in and we fly into the center of it. We will intercept it. We'll overfly it. The needle will go from 2, swap around from. Then we'll use that to get our reverse bearing, but then we'll start tidying in with the next one. And we will be reading DME. We'll have to realize that we need to fly for 39 miles away from this station, right? Because that's the measurement it's giving us. 39 miles away from that station until we get up to roughly here. Now this, you know, AINKK, ENK, that's a GPS waypoint. If we had a GPS to say, hey, just fly straight to that, we don't have that. So we're going to have to fly there manually. And then we're expecting that should put us on the 253 radial to the Ted Stevens VOR. We want to put a course towards that VOR station. Therefore, we're going to take 180 degrees from 253, and it's going to give us a heading of 073. So we will say then that we are on course of 073 towards the VOR. Are we happy enough? Okay. Enzo, exclamation point specs will give you the specs. Right, so that's what we're doing on paper. Let's see how it all turns out. We'll get our door closed. Lock and latch. And engine's still warm, so we should be okay. So let me see. Mixture, fully up. We'll give it a shot of fuel pump. Okay, now we got to be careful because that prop is spinning in the wind. So let me see here. No power and lower the speed of the prop. Right, left, both. Clear prop, although it's still spinning.
Your flight will be monitored until
All right.
you land and shut down the engines.
So we're up and running here. There's lighting. I thought there was more lights in this machine, no? It's very dark in here or something, is it? We've 2 sets of lights over there. I've nothing on the main dash. We've lights up here, look. That's the dome light, though. And then we've other lights behind us. Alright. ADF we're probably not going to need. We definitely want our range. So we can see we are 3 nautical miles away from the VOR station. That's our first one. Flying Diggs, good to see you, buddy. No combustion with the engine if the prop is spinning, like, yeah, put her in for service. Well, kind of mad, wasn't it? All I had to do was put on the fuel and then turn on the mags and it probably would have started itself, right? Interesting. Alright. Reset our barrow, reset our temperature, and let's proceed here. So, lights on, off the brake, and we'll start taxiing out. Okay, OnAir doing its stuff. And you can see the weather here, it's absolutely crap. Want to be careful for icing here, so we'll see how we get on, right? Diggs, hope you're well, buddy. Now, we probably don't need a full runway departure because it is quite windy. So we'll jump on here at Echo, I'd say. We probably get away with that. Right. A lot of the panel lights and the dials next to the light rocker switches. They're usually over here, but I don't see them, so yeah, interesting. It's alright, we can see anyway, like, we're not lost. Alright. So our frequencies are dialed in, yeah? And as I said, it's all about distance. Distance, right? 39 miles from that VOR. So this is where we need to just watch what we're doing, right? We have some peoples with us. Good stuff, lads. Okay, and then when we're finished with this flight, we need to start our briefing for tonight's VATSIM flight heading into Dublin, right? Alright, squawk machine on. We'll just set up a makey uppy one. 6142, why not? Because I imagine that this is going to turn into IF4 very, very quickly, alright? Left clear, right clear, and it's off to the right hand side. Easy now. Okay. Okay, before we go, let's replicate here and there. Identifier QM1. Okay, so we're saying 39 miles. All right, friends. Are we ready? Naughty Gnomes, for the last 2 days messing with settings as somehow a new GPU fell into your computer. Uh-oh. Does it sound like a 5090? Naughty Gnome. Alright, we're looking good here. Power's looking good. My watch is beeping at me. What does it want? Someone at my door. It's grand. Right, power coming in. Off the brakes. Let's go flying. Takeoff power set. Speed very much alive with that wind, and it's blustery. Yep, see daisy. Positive rate of climb.
Airborne time wall.
Gear up. Flaps in. Okay, so this is where it all gets terribly, terribly, terribly interesting, right? Autopilot on the heading, and now we want to intercept this guy. So for me to make this turn correctly, we need to change our heading to be flying directly towards that station, yeah? So it requires a small little bit of deviation on my side. So you can see here now we need to go slightly right to intercept. We are 2.2 miles away. Ease off in our climb there, Betsy. It's windy. Now we can see that the other nav aid is lighting up, but that's quite okay. Now we're within 2 miles of that VOR station. And it's going to start moving. No matter what I do, that's going to start moving. Because we're flying towards it, alright? Sounds like an AMD 9700 XTC. Ooh! Very fancy. Fornax, good to see it. Wasn't it a bit early to go gear up? Necessarily, it depends. I mean, once you know you've sustained, you know, indicated climb. Okay, so see how what's going to happen here, look. Our flags are going to change. So we're currently heading towards, we are within 0.9 miles. See how much deviation there now is? Like, it thinks we're miles off. But of course, you have to allow the aircraft to overfly it, right? So that's what we're doing right now. I'm just going to wait for this flag to change from to from, and then we can move things around. Fornax, thank you very much indeed for 37 months, buddy. Cheers. Flying with a retractable landing gear, it's always safer to leave the gear down longer as possible, but there's no point having the gear down after the point of no return. You're flying. The gear is just going to add drag to you. You know what I mean? Okay, so our flag has now come in. We're going to try and maintain 3,000 feet initially. The flag has changed from to from. Ease our power back. And now we need to figure out the radial that we wanted from that station, right? 24 gigs of VRAM, that's very impressive, my guy. Now remember, we need an exact back course from this guy. This needs to be so accurate to say, well, we want to fly out on a certain radial outbound, right? So we were saying if we're going to be outbound on this guy, there's the 0, 0. We're slightly off where we thought we were going to be. So we were talking, if that's 0, there's 1. It's going to be 0, 1, 2. All right. Well, let's go in. I want to fly on the 0, 1, 2. So if I point to there, there's 0, 1, there's 0, 2. I need to turn right to intercept this guy. Because you can see there's 0, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. I want to go directly on the 0, 1, 2. So as I turn to intercept this guy, this line will start moving in a little bit closer. That makes sense? And we can see even this has a flag to say it's directly behind us. And we know it's to our right. So at the moment, all is well in the realm. So we'll continue turning right until this guy lines up. He's starting to move now, look. So keep letting this guy come in, and then we'll turn, and then at this stage, then we'll start tuning in or swapping over our nav radios, so we know what we're doing. All right. So far, so good. Engine power is a little high. Column 24. We're coming in nicely. And because we have this guy in nav 1, see our distance is climbing, 6.1, 6.2. We need this guy to get to about 30-ish, all right? Because we know 39 miles away from the VOR, that's going to be our turning point to intercept the inbound up to Anchorage. We'll start our turn in. Easy does it. Easy does it. This guy is almost perfectly straight now. Because I want to be flying outbound, yeah? So we've already got the radial, 012, that's a radial. And now this is purely a mission to get everything aligned up as close as we can. And there is a bit of wind here, so if we find that, hey, this is not getting me any closer, well, let's get a little bit more aggressive. We'll have to turn the aircraft in order to maintain that. We can see that our imaginary magenta line is still off to our right-hand side. We haven't captured it fully yet. But we can only try. Now, is that moving? No. So again, we get a little bit more aggressive. We'll turn in a little bit. It's barely moving, but it's moving. And this guy is slowly but surely coming back across. Alright, we're looking good. We're looking better now. Let's call this. Let's hold it there, because I know we can get this very tight. That's looking good. 1, 2, 3 clicks. Let's see what that does. We still have movement. 4 clicks. And this is going to help us aim off in the wind. 5 clicks. 6 clicks. Right, that looks good to me. That looks good to me. And our range away from that station is now 11 miles. Deadly. Okay, we're doing something right. So our next one then is going to be the inbound, right? And we want to turn the OBS on. What was that heading? 073, right? Because we knew we were going to be intercepting the 253 outbound. We want to fly inbound. So we get 253 degrees, take away 180 because we want to go the opposite direction. So that's going to be the 073. So there's 6, there's 7, 7, 1, 2, and 3. Maybe in here. It's like 2.5. So at the moment, we're going to continue to fly towards it until this guy starts straightening up. Then we know, hey, this is the direction in which we need to start flying. And we're going to know that at roughly 39 miles. So far, so good. We haven't exploded anything yet. We will now. There's every chance this will be broken, you know. Now your accuracy here, like it's, you know, do your best. You have gyro drift as well, so you got to watch for that. But I think overall we're looking good. I'll keep the landing lights on. Like it's not terribly far. Engine is behaving. We have about 2400. Manifold pressure is, yeah, we're fairly okay. Everything seems to be just kind of grand right now. And we monitor, right? So 39 miles. That's where we want to be watching. And then we're going to swap over our nav radios because I'll want the distance now heading in towards Anchorage. And we'll know, all going well, when we track ourselves up this direction, we'll know we'll want to be roughly 16 miles. So depending on how accurate we are, I'm comfortable with maybe 12 to 18 miles, right? Little bit either side. That 2 miles is nothing. 4 miles, not too bad. Especially if you're just intercepting something out here. If you're looking for the airport itself, if you're 4 miles away, that's an issue. But anywhere between, I suppose, 12 and 18 miles away from that VOR, I'm happy enough with that. Because what we're going to do, as soon as we get onto this marker and we turn right onto 073 degrees, or 076, whatever roughly it lands in, right? That's our runway in which we're going to land on. So our plan is, well, at that stage, I mean, if we're like 10 miles out, we could be lucky, right? We could get visual, but certainly we want to have visibility within kind of 2 miles. Otherwise, we need to look at another instrument approach. All right? So far so good. 17.5 miles. We're heading up to 39. And remember, like, there's no GPS here. This is purely looking at the map and figuring out, well, if I fly this direction accurately, this amount of distance, then I can turn and be that distance away. So you're using two VOR stations to give it, like, it's class to think this was all the way navigation was done. Like, it's class, and it's windy. Jesus. No sign of any icing though. We'll stay below that cloud layer, and as I say, we have a bit of chop up here, but we should be good. Triangulation, that's exactly it, Malky. Yeah, triangulation, buddy. Hope you're well, my dude. Tunage at Bijani then. A beautiful day for flying. So we're drifting a little bit, we better correct this. Malky isn't able to flight sim, you poor old devil. Hang on tight, we'll be there soon, Malky. FD, we're going to be on VATSIM later on this evening. Hope you're well, my guy. Man, what a beautiful airplane. Just flights Piper Arrow. Stunning. Such a pretty airplane. You can see these flying all over the shop. They're a very popular aircraft. So we have some people flying with us. You see Jordanian Sim is there. Steve Rings is behind us. We have Sun Jammer flying along. Fierce Wolf, Midlife Rex, Hukalea. Recorded Track is with us. Wonky Buttons is there. Still slightly off. That's the wind really playing havoc with us. Our range 25.5. We're going to wait for this guy to completely straighten up, then we'll know we've intercepted. Right. You gotta love the old school nav. It's just fun. Alright, so there is a bit of weather to contend with, no doubt, when we get up here. But we'll see how we go. Now we're after drifting a fair bit off course, so we just gotta be mindful of that. As I said, that might put our range out a little bit. But as I said, if we're 12 to 18 miles from the Ted Stevens VOR, I'd be comfortable enough with that. But yeah, we should be alright. We should be alright. We're correcting the course now nicely. We're pretty much bang on. But we have to aim off. Look how much we're aiming off due to the wind that's hitting us. It's friggin' nuts, right? And it'll change. Like, it's not going to stay constant. So we'll try and correct this now. So we're going to keep this all exactly within limitations. DME, we're coming up on 30 miles. And as I said, we know roughly when we get up to 30 odd, we'll be turning, right? It's a free plane wash. Now you've said it, man. Now you've said it. All right, so we've got 10 miles to go. And then what we're expecting to see is some action on this little guy here. You see, the radial doesn't care what direction you're facing. You're either on the radial or you're not, right? And what I mean by that is, if you have your radial here, right? Say here's your circle, right? And these are all, here's your circle. So here's your VOR, right? That's absolutely terrible, Murph. Here's your VOR in the middle. And that's transmitting on all of these different radials, right? All the different radials. They're going all over the shop. There's loads of them, right? Well, the radial doesn't really care, you know, what direction you're facing, as long as you're on the radial. I mean, we could be going this, we could be facing that way, we could be facing this way. It doesn't care. We've still hit this radial. So as soon as I get to that radial, I'll then know, I'm on the radial. Now I just need to make sure that I continue flying directly to rather than from. Yeah? So that's what we're going to try and accomplish here. Now moving on this guy, we're going a little bit left, so we'll try and correct that with the wind. And we're at 32.1 miles. So we're going to change over frequencies here very, very shortly, just to give us an idea. And to help us out here, we're going to say, right, we want the 073, right? 073, so that's going to be all the way over here, look. There's 06, there's 07, and we're going to say roughly there. Roughly there. All right. Now we're going to change frequency. So we should be on 11315. So 113.15. And this guy was 117.6. Okay. Now we haven't approached the radial yet. However, it is now starting to move in. The radial is, this is starting to close in on where we're headed, right? But look at this now. The range, we're 18.6. So I'm happy enough with that. We're 18 miles out from Ted Stevens. It was kind of somewhere between 12 and 18. We're a little bit early because, you know, we were aiming for 39 miles. But as we do this, we can change this guy. He was originally on the 012, right? There's 01, there's 012. Come back here. There's 012. So I can see now I'm on a straight outbound from the last VOR station behind us. That's now behind us, okay? And as we continue to fly on this heading, as our range starts to close in, we can probably go a little bit more aggressive. This guy is going to, he'll come in closer, and when it does, that's when I'll be making my right turn. You can see this guy starting to move now, right? See him moving? Once this guy gets centered, I'm going to be turning right to intercept the course heading towards that VOR. The outbound is 253 degrees. The inbound course is going to be 073. That makes sense? Our range, we're now within 17 miles. We knew roughly we're going to be at about 16. So when we get down to about 16 miles, we should be ready to start our turn in. So this is starting to come in fairly quick now. So I reckon when we get to about 16 miles, we're at 16.8 now, and you can see already how closer this is getting in, right? It's starting to really move. So we know at 16 miles, we're bang on the money. So we're going to start making a small little turn in here because I don't want to overshoot it. And when we do this, lads, we should have visibility. We should see the runway some 14 miles away. Should. Maybe not, but we'll see. So here's our turn. We'll go ahead and intercept. And again, we'll have to aim off for wind, so we're going to have a little bit of course correction to do once we get in here, right? That's now fully aligned. We are under 16 miles, so we were bang on with our 16 miles. Continue our turn. And if I look out the window now, our airport should be 15 miles dead ahead. There's some poppy lights right there. How friggin' cool is that? There's the poppy lights. Can you guys see them? I can see poppy lights just there. All right. Now remember, the VOR station is to the south of the runway. If you go back to our charts, that VOR, is down here. So it's right at the end of the runway. All right. But now we need to correct up because we've gone wrong. Well, we haven't gone wrong, but like we need to turn because the wind is really affecting us. So let's see what we can do here. We're going to turn and intercept. We have a range now of 14 miles. Pull back a bit of power. And we're going to re-establish ourselves onto that radial. So we're going to see this needle move in, keep moving in. We're flying towards the station. That's what we want. And looking out the window, see our runway? So we're visual within this range. So that's still moving. This guy is still moving. And when it's bang on centered, we'll correct the turn. Out the window. There's a visual point. We're looking good here. And we're looking good there. So the airport range is now 12.5. We can see it. We're visual. And that's how we've done our track coming in. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. Right, autopilot, good luck to you. We're going to hand fly this in. We're visual with the runway. We can see what's happening. We're going to drop the power so we can start a little descent here. And we continue in. Now we'll have to aim off a little bit because of the wind, right? Speed is looking good though. Altitude is starting to drop about 500 feet a minute. And it's we're visual with the airport. I'm happy enough with that. Now we could have flown this all the way down to minimums because the VOR is at the end of the runway, right? If the weather was much worse, we would have called it at, okay, you know, at 3 DME or at 2 DME. If we don't see the airport, we're out of here. The VOR approach, now we have an ILS there as well, but the VOR approach, it depends on where the VOR is located. But you get the idea now how you can triangulate or aim off. You can say, well, this is the radial at this distance, that's when I'll turn in. Hopefully this is painting a clear picture for you. And like, you got to try this yourself. Just go, like the route that I have today, exclamation point route, have a look at it, and you should really try and fly this yourselves. Okay, RPM coming up. Ease off the power. And we'll continue to approach the runway here. Hermit something, very good morning. Hope you're well, buddy. That's just a warning for the gear, we're alright. Steiny, Marinan. Beautiful plane. Alright, so a bit of wind to contend with here. Conventional SID stars on many US West Coast airports, also great practice. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Like, this sort of flying, when it comes to navigation and understanding charts and what your instruments can and can't do, like, it really does stand to you. For any type of flying, you know. Chav Brow, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Joe, welcome in from an early shift. Good to see you, buddy. Brabus is in the house. Good. Ooh, the bump. Good to see you, Brabus. Hope you're well, buddy. Happy Thursday. So once we get landed here, we're going to start looking at our flight for this evening, flying out of Amsterdam as we head towards Dublin. Dublin is hosting an event, a reduced threshold for runway 28 left. They're actually carrying out some construction works in real life at Dublin Airport, and they've actually shortened the runway due to obstacle clearance. Therefore, there's new procedures written in the real world, and the guys at VATEIR are going to simulate that tonight. So it'll be interesting. So we're going to start a bit of briefing on how we're going to tackle that flight tonight as soon as we get landed here. And we'll continue on with this lesson next week as we do a little bit more of our VOR and NDB flying. So our approach is looking good. We are probably 4 miles. 5 miles maybe. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it, Naughty. Just be prepared to hold. There's going to be holds tonight, no matter what way you plan it. How long have you been flying? In general or today? Today about 2 hours. In general, I've been simming for years. I've a handful of hours real world. Alright, speed is looking good. We're going to go with the gear. Landing gear coming down. 3 greens. Gear is down. And we'll go for a notch of flaps here to help us out with a bit of drag. Mixture's rich, prop full. Wind is blowing us off course. Correct that. As we ramble into Ted Stevens. It's a crosswind landing for sure. Man, what a beautiful part of the world this is. Isn't it gorgeous? Easy now. The Pappy are happy. Start reducing some speed. A couple of days ago, an Embraer crashed while landing on a runway, no casualties. Reportedly, the runway was also temporarily shortened. Ooh, Jesus. Alright, watch the wind. Start bringing out some of that speed now. We'll probably get a little bit of chop coming in over the trees here. Second notch of flaps. Easy does it. Easy does it. It's bumpy. Speed is good. Always carry a little bit of speed. Easy does it. There's a touchdown zone. We'll fly straight to that. Try and keep it on the centre line. Ease off the power. Bleed out the speed. Hold the nose up. Watch the flare. Easy now. Easy. Watch the little hump on the runway. There's our touch. And we'll watch our speed coming in. There's decel. Flaps coming in. And we continue to taxi. So where can we get off here? We'll abandon ship down here on the right hand side. We'll stay on the runway for the moment. To explain everything while live, you, Mary, have been simming before glass cockpits were invented. Thryhead says, looking forward to stream 2. I've got Murph on in the background whilst I'm working. Also an amazing flight instructor. Can just imagine him saying, land now, you big idiot. Brilliant. Friend Wall, good to see you, bud. Hope you're well. Right, a little bit fast there, Murphy. You nearly took off again. You big idiot. Easy now. That could have been interesting. Okay, we're going to head over to the right-hand side. Bum, 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 bum. Should be Romeo up here on the right. Which it is. Although it says Echo and Foxtrot. Why not? Let's ramble off here to the right. Foxtrot. Should be Echo. Alright. Okay, clear the runway. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Go to the next one. Alright. An oldie but a goodie. Turbo Arrow. Yeah, really, really good. Really, really good. The training exercises that came with the likes of Flight Sim 20 or Flight Sim 2000 came with VOR and NAV. Rod Machado used to do them, and they used to have the King schools do them as well. Alright, park and brake set. Landing lights off. Peter heat off. Avionics did a great job. Transponder off. And reset to 1200. And engine.
Engine off time logged. The flight is finished. It has been monitored by OnAir.
Alright. Alright. Prop feather. And battery off. And go ahead and get our door open. And there we have it, lads. There we have it. Tyler, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. All right, that was a very enjoyable flight. Let's go and have a quick look at Navigraph. Let's just retrace our steps. So what we planned to do, we left Kenai. We flew on the 012 radial outbound for 39 miles until we intercepted the 253 radial. We turned right on a course of 073, around 18 miles or so, and then we brought it in for a landing. All without using GPS. You gotta friggin' love VORs, man. They're just fun. They're just fun. So are you happy enough with that? I hope you learned something. And as I said, it's this sort of flying that you can do in the sim. It opens up a world of other experiences, especially if you're in like bad weather. You know, flying in with IFR using the old way, the old school of doing it. You know, so yeah, definitely a lot of fun to do that. So that is that flight. We're going to move on now. We're going to exit the sim because we have some scenery to load in. What we're going to look at now, lads, we're going to plan a flight for this evening on VATSIM. We're starting a little bit earlier today. Now, while we're here, bring this guy up. Retry that connection, please. So let's look at the record we got from OnAir. OnAir was happy with everything that we did. So you can see the routing on OnAir, and you can kind of see the little course corrections along the way, right? That was purely from the wind, and that's when we turned in to intercept our landing. So OnAir was terribly happy with all of that. We scored 100%. Love to see it, lads. And we're going to okay all of this. Free flight, reputation change, reputation impact, comfort bonus, safety bonus, aircraft handling, soft landing, and then our flight score. With a landing rate of just shy of 120 feet a minute. Nothing at all wrong with that. So that's all building up our currency and our experience and indeed our reputation for OnAir company for our crash logistics, which is what we want. So what we're going to do now, when we need to get in and have a look at the VATSIM flight for this evening, right? So let's have a look here now. We'll close off all this stuff. And we need to go down here now to VATSIM Thursday because there's quite a bit going on here, right? So let me see, VATSIM Thursday. So let's have a look here, lads, right? So for those flying into Dublin tomorrow, please make sure that you read the pilot briefing that has been prepared. It outlines the details and changes happening and provides charts and waypoints. So we have some information here we're going to go ahead and grab. So let's have a look and let's have a read up of this. So the Dublin RMP runway 28 left displaced threshold. That's what we're doing tonight, all right? And this is all in association from VATEIR. So like many large international airports built in the mid-20th century, Dublin is constantly changing to improve traffic flow and increase capacity. One of the many ongoing revamps has been boldly named the South Apron Taxiway Widening Project. It has recently progressed into Phase 3, which involve works beyond the stop bars on Taxiway Echo 1. That's requiring a portion of runway 28 left to be closed. Because of this, a temporary displaced threshold has been established almost 500 metres down the runway. And a new instrument approach procedure, the RNP Tango for runway 28 left, has been published as the only approach available while the worksite is active. Although they generally don't simulate NOTAMs and temporary closures in VATEIR, the displaced threshold and RNP approach provide for a unique challenge to our experienced controllers. We have therefore decided to take our realism to the next level for one night only on this very special edition of Dublin's Thursday Night Live. So your initial approach into Dublin will be largely the same as it is every other time. We're going to be cleared to a star, possibly enter a hold at Karav or Sarin, and then join the point merge sequence leg. Except this time, instead of being cleared to Lapmo, you're going to be instructed to proceed to Oxbow and the new intermediate fix for the RMP Tango runway 28 left approach, right? Marilyn, good to see you. Hope you're well. Let me see now. Tyrone Andrews, I use Neofly for the career experience. Would you say OnAir is superior? I would. OnAir has so much more on offer. It has the pilot life element. It has the career mode progression, logbook progression. You can open up FBOs. It has missions, and there's a fully fledged economy mode, but also that of kind of like an industrial tycoon game attached to it as well. It is very, very good. It's vast as well. And they have real world airliner routes dialed into that as well. A massive database. I think it's very, very good. So the AirAct 2505 is required, which we have. Aircraft with outdated nav data and aircraft without RNAV can expect the ILS runway 28 right approach. Okay, so they'll help both. So landing. The real runway is equipped with temporary runway threshold and PAPI lighting. Most simulator scenery doesn't have this, so you'll need to ignore the regular PAPIs and judge your final approach. Okay, you should aim to touch down between taxiway Sierra 2 and Sierra 3. Note, if you're using a landing performance calculation tool, make sure that you adjust your landing distance available to 2,141 meters. However, the enhanced Dublin and X-Plane sceneries, they can avail of an incredible scenery add-on created by Rambog Moore, their very own Rambog, which adds the work sites for the PAPIs. We're going to grab that here now. And there's the temporary works. Does this work with, whatchamacallit, lads? Does this work with the MK Studios one? I imagine it does. The Dublin Gateway overhaul scenery has now been updated to include it as well over on X-Plane, which is great. It does. Right, brilliant. Good stuff, lads, good stuff. So if you're doing this, lads, make sure you grab, I'll give you a link to this. Make sure you grab the updated scenery. It's just going to live in your community folder. And I'll show you how I'm going to do all that now as well. So if I go into downloads, and where is it now? Rambog scenery. Let's go ahead and show us this file. So there's the file. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into our flight sim files. This PC, local flight sim files, stream only, and we'll pop it down here. Make sure there's only one scenery. There is. We're going to pop that in there. And then using the MSFS add-ons linker, we're going to activate it. All right. So stream only, we're going to go down to Rambog's airport for Dublin, and that's now dialed in. Perfect. While we're waiting, we can now refire up the sim in the background, and we'll start worrying about what we're going to do. So, I can't fly the RNP approach. Can I still participate? Of course you can. Of course you can. If you're arriving into Dublin, expect to be cleared for an ILS approach for 28 right instead. You can also try taking off from the shortened runway by requesting a departure off runway 28 left. When you call for clearance, expect taxi instructions for an intersection departure from taxiway Sierra 1. Charts for Dublin Airport for the RNP can be found on the Irish AIP, in which we'll go over and have a look. Where's this now? Instrument approach, runway 28 left. Now, will this show us the displaced threshold? Standard departure, instrument approach chart, ILS, RNP. It's this one here, isn't it? Is this the one? Instrument approach. It's the RNP. Now, should it not be RNP1 or RNPT? I don't think that's right. So we're looking for the RNP Tango. RNP 28 right. RNP 10 right. RNP 34. Here we go. It's the bottom one, look. Instrument approach chart, RNP Tango, runway 28 left. That's the one we want. Let's have a look. So what do we have here? Aerodrome elevation, that's fine. ATIS frequencies are all fine. And then we have our information. This is real world stuff, which is cool, right? So let's have a look at it. So we were saying, look, our initial approach won't be LAPMO, it's going to be OXPO. So let's have a look. We're going to be flying in from the Netherlands. So we're going to be heading over this neck of the woods here. Our initial approach fix is over here at Obinu. And here's OXPO. Here's your initial fix, right? Can we zoom in here? We can. Disappear this. So we're not going to have this on Navigraph, so we want to be careful. Here's our fix over here. And by doing so, it's going to be on a 277. Final approach fix is going to be UVZUS, and then we header on in. Is it on Navigraph? Do they put it on as well? Jesus, brilliant. Now, if all goes wrong, let's have a look at our missed approach. It's going to be fly on a heading of 277 degrees up to 3,000 feet at Gannet. Right turn, maximum speed is 200 knots, up till we get to DW034. Right turn again until we intercept the Dublin VOR, and then we'll see what happens. There's going to be holds. So you can see the hold over here, right? And then there's another hold further south, I think, at Soren. So I'll have to check that. Missed approach, climb straight ahead to Gannet at or below 3000. Right turn at or below 3000. Proceed to the VOR. And then let's see what Dublin will tell us to do when we get to the VOR. Okay. That's all okay. Right, so we can check all this out on whatchamacallit. On Navigraph as well, right? So let's go in and start planning our flightation. So we're going into sim brief. We're going to go new flight. Tonight we will be Firefly 235. And we're going to be departing out of Schiphol. And we're going to head for Dublin. EIDW. And we're going to be in the Airbus A320 from Phoenix. Therefore she is that it? Dun, 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 dun. Flyby or Tolus. Doon. Phoenix. A320. We'll go with the CFM. All right. So let's have a look what it's doing. It's going to be up over Manchester direction. It's giving us that 28 left. This would be interesting. Now it says Bagzo. Bagzo's going to be fine, I'd say. Let's generate and have a look. We'll see what the procedure is. We might have to edit the flight in order to do this for the approach, right? Let's have a look here now. So Bagzo in. Right, move you off to one side. And we're happy-ish here. So that was our poll that we've done. And we're going to load into the sim. The route detailed in Discord thread. The route is detailed on the Discord thread. Well, let's see now. Here we go. So let's have a look here. Make this full screen. Alrighty, so here we go. Naughty Gnome has given us all the information, so this is class. Fair dues to him. Flying out of Amsterdam to Dublin, due to expected traffic volume, we'll be leaving an hour earlier. Bring extra fuel, lads. An extra hour fuel, right? Scenery options are all there. Expected routing. Yeah, it's Bagzo. That's okay. As always, full details upcoming can be found here. Please see the note down from Adam. Brilliant. Nacho Regular, good to see you. Murph, I wrote the briefing. If you or anyone in the chat has any questions on it, well, thank you very much indeed. Welcome in, Nacho. Okay, yeah, so the briefing, I think I'm comfortable enough in terms of our initial approach, our initial approach fix, because it's very clear, right? Just LAPMO won't be in the use. So let me see, A320 with the, I didn't go CFM, I wanted the, I do want CFM. So let's go with this Mohawkie here, and we'll go over to Amsterdam, and have a look at Schiphol here for the minute. Now, this is a huge friggin' airport, so we'll bury ourselves somewhere handy. Do we want to be at the south of the airport? Where did they say our departure was? 18 something? Adam Controls, thank you very much indeed, you ledge. Right, let's go back to here to flights, unload, import from brief of sim. Get in there now, you devil you. Let's have a look at this. Okay, so it wants us on the 18 left. Okay, 18 left. Are you 18 left? Yeah, you're 18 left. Grand. So we'll park ourselves up here. These are heavy stands. Does it really matter? It shouldn't matter, lads, should it? Gate small, gate heavy, gate small, gate heavy. 55. Says departure. Gate 55. And we'll go live. Okay. Let this load up and get the Phoenix aircraft in to action. And we'll continue having a look at this here. So, the routing we were saying is actually slightly different. Pennell, Leldo. There's Pennell, but it doesn't show me Leldo. And then Bagzo. Right. We'll change all of this briefly. That Phoenix stuff load. Let's see. Question is this all going to work? That looks okay. Our views are set up. Yes, lovely. Okay, so let me see. Battery 1. Battery 2. External power. Nav lights. Emergency lights. Wing light. Ground supply. Ground control. Fuel pumps. And start aligning our IRSs. That looks good to me. No smoking. And now we'll give the sim a moment just to collect its thoughts, because this is going to be heavy on the owl, whatchamacallit. Should be heavy on the owl scenery. Maxim, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Okay, so we'll give all this a moment. We are connected, and that's looking good to me. So let's come back in here to our flight planning. We're going back into here. We're going to edit this flight. Close that. We're going to edit this flight. And we'll edit this flight with the new routing. So we're looking for Bergy. So let's see what our options are down here, right? Bergy, yes. Leldo, yes. Analyze the route. Oh, that is right. That is right. Okay. Flown many times in the baby buses from heavy stands. Okay, sweet. We should be okay. Okay, so flight cruise altitude for tonight, 38,000 feet. We'll see. We can definitely get up there, but I'll probably go a little bit lower. While we're here, before we even start worrying about what's happening, well, let's check in on the weather. It's cold as a divil over here at the minute. Let's go in and have a look at temperature in Amsterdam. So come 7 o'clock later on this evening, you're talking 3 degrees, and then we say Dublin will be about 2 hours later. It'll be close to freezing. So we know it's cold, lads, right? Wind speed at the moment, it's looking like it's going to be a westerly departure or a southerly departure, as you can kind of see where the winds are here, look, right? And they don't really seem to be changing. They could change. We could get an easterly departure. We'll wait and see what happens. When we get to Dublin later on this evening, we are still planning on the 2-8. Is that going to change? They won't change. The wind is coming in from the west. All right. What about our en routing winds? How windy will it be along the way? Mother of God, look at this. So when we leave Amsterdam, we're going to be battling a headwind up to and including 100 knots. That's going to present itself with a substantial crosswind that is going to add a little bit of time to our journey. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. In terms then of any precip, are we expecting rain this evening? Well, out of Amsterdam, funny enough, we are. There's actually thunderstorms and all sorts of weather coming in there from the north, but as we cross over the UK and into Dublin, we should be okay. There is going to be a bit of precip, but hopefully not too much. Definitely somehow over the Irish Sea. And if you have a look at the cloud cover in Dublin this evening, Amsterdam, it will be cloudy, fully overcast, but as we fly into the evening, we can expect relatively clear skies in and around Dublin this evening. So that'll make it decent, right? Not yet. We'll have a look there now. 100%. Okay, so that's our weather briefing. I'm happy enough with that. You know, northerly winds will be pushing us south. We'll figure all that out as we get there. It's going to be cold as we descend over the Irish Sea. That's the real worry for icing, because there is a bit of cloud there, but certainly once we get into our final approach in Dublin, it should be relatively clear. You might get a bit of fog because it's so calm. All right, so that's all grand there. We're going to move this guy over. And we'll go back into our Navigraph and let's have a look at the approaches now that we can choose for tonight's flight. So we're saying we're going to be departing out of Schiphol's 18 left. And we have our own departure here. It's going to be the Bergy 4 Echo. The Bergy 4 Echo is going to be execute takeoff immediately after receiving the clearance. Grand. Remain on tower frequency until passing 2000. Then we contact Schiphol departure. So that's an automatic handover. At least that's what it looks like. We're going to be speed 250 under 10,000, which is fine. So when we take off, it's actually going to be a bit of a left turn. Climb on a 182 track at or above 500 feet. Turn left direct to AM 029er, maximum 220 knots. And then at or above 250 to AM 028 and then Bergy. Alright, so we have speed and altitude restrictions on our departure out of here. That's all fairly grand. Now we want to look at our approach. So we're going to say it's the ORNAV T28 left. Add that guy to our route. And this should be the brand new flag that we have. So our initial point fix is going to be, well, Abinu. So how do we get from Bagzo to Abinu? That is the question we'll need to figure out. So we'll get as far as Bagzo, and from there it'll either be on our line of fun here, or it'll be a direct Abino or even Oxbow, right? No worries, Naughty. No worries at all, my guy. So let's just check our altitudes here as we're coming in. So when we get to Bagzo, for example, we want to be, you know, minimum altitude is going to be 10,000 feet. Minimum. All right? So we want to be... ATC will have this, but like I imagine we're going to be up and around maybe somewhere between 10,000, you know, 10,000 or 12,000, give or take, and then we'll start our ramble in. All right. Now, certain things to consider, because the holes, right? We need to watch for these holes. So we know that there's a hold out in Sorin. Let's close this for a minute. Let's go to IF4 here. So we know, indeed, there is a hold out at Sorin, right? Now, why can't I show the... So as we're flying in here, that's not giving me all the information I need. I don't know. Simri gives you a 2-4 departure, says Malky. Does it? Okay. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Now, what do we want in here? Yes, they're on. They're all on. They're okay. They're okay. They're okay. They're okay. That's okay. And that's okay. Alright, they're okay. So the holding. The ILS or the RMP hold in contingency on hold is contingency only and will only be used when directed by ATC. Well, that's the hold there, right? But they're telling us, hey, you're going to be holding at Sorin or otherwise, right? Sorin is on the south. So I would have thought Bagza would have been telling... Oh, here's the other one. Is that it there? So there's a hold... What's the name of this shagging thing? Naimat? No. Giras. Naimat. Boyne. Is that Karav? Is that the hold, is it? Let's ask the question. Hang on now. Onto that. Because I'm just trying to figure out where we're going to have to hold if we do. Right, let's have a look. Can't fly the RMP charts. Right, that's all okay. Real runway, that's all okay. So your initial approach and then expected to hold at either Karav or Sorin. Grand. It's going to be Karav for us, right? Si Murray, thank you very much indeed. 51 months. Cheers, buddy. Okay, so Karav is our hold. So let's have a look at the hold. So as we come in from Bagzo, here's the hold at Karav, right? Which is on the radial 069er at 20 miles. Okay, maximum 220 knots, and it's going to be at 8,000 feet or as directed. But the hold itself is going to be maximum 220, maximum 14,000, minimum 5. So at 220 knots, we're either going to be on the 027 or 027 or the 207, either or, right? Somewhere between 5,000 and 14,000 feet, and we hold in there. It's a standard hold, so what is it, a minute or 3 minutes or something like that? I don't think VATSIM get too excited when it comes to holds. Just stay to that area as tightly as you can and watch your speed and altitude. They will, depending on how busy it is, they'll give you 1,000 feet separation of other aircraft. So that's just something we'll need to be careful. When we're looking at our FMS, or our MACDU or MCDU, we'll program that in. we'll plan the hold at Kerav. Missed approach. It wouldn't be an impossible thing to think. If we had to go missed, we may not get a direct run straight back in for the Dublin VOR. It's quite possible we could be vectored from the Dublin VOR over to Kerav and hold again. So we'll need to just be aware that this could happen, right? If for whatever reason you don't get you have to go missed, as you carry out the published missed approach, you're going to intercept the Dublin VOR. They will most likely send you back out to the hold at Kerav. Now, the last time I was watching stuff, when it was very busy, there was another hold up here somewhere. They had them miles away. And if memory serves me, wasn't there a hold around Gormanstown as well? That's real world stuff. But I'd say Kerav is probably close to that, isn't it? Like memory serves me, there used to be another hold up here somewhere. But anyway, we won't worry about it. Our hold, if we get hit with one, is either going to be Kerav, or if ATC are very busy, they could send us down south to Sorin. Doesn't really matter which one. Just be aware we have a hold, right? Now, if the situation changes here in Amsterdam, Malky was saying they'll give us a 2-4 departure if all goes wrong, right? It's not the end of the world. We're either going to be blasting off from 1-8 or from 2-4, which is just down here. Either way, I think parking up in these stands is ideal. We don't have far to taxi, all right? So that's all tickety-boo. So our plan of attack, where is this now? Our plan of attack, we'll take off. We'll be swinging up to the north. We'll be coming into the UK kind of south of, I suppose, Hull neck of the woods. Up over Manchester, Liverpool, Pennell, and then Bagso. Probably 10 to 12,000 feet around Bagso, give or take. From Bagso, it's anyone's guess. We could enter the hold at Kerav, which is here. They could tell us, yeah, wait there. Oh, Jesus. Or we could be lucky. We could get a good run of it, and they'll either... It's unlikely they'll give us the full arc, but they might because it's busy, right? That's all well and good. Now we need to be careful of the runway. So, I'm happy enough the aircraft is functioning. I need to turn on this gadget, SimApp Pro. And I'm also going to be using our fancy, whatchamacallit. Now, hang on, how's this going to work without falling? There we go. So if I take this guy out, and see, can we squeeze this guy in? Let's see. Right. Let's see what this does, lads. As I'm moving hardware all over the shaggin' shop. Let's see if I can do this without breaking me setup. It'd be a great success if I can do all of this. Hang on now. Careful. There we go. And there you go. And you just go back over there. Because what I want to use, do you want to update now? Nah, we don't need to update. Okay, so let's go in and have a look. So if I have now my wing gear, that's working, and that's working, lovely. And then we're able to utilize, whatchamacallit, we're able to utilize our stream deck. So if I want to move my chair, for example, right, and that's all being powered by flight panels. I'm loving this stuff. I think it's absolutely deadly. Have a look at this, right? So I'm using a stream deck, and this is the flight panels that I'm using, right? So if I go back to home here, go home. So this is what I can utilize using my Stream Deck XL, right? So if I... Oh, I've lost that button now. Right. I can do it over here. That one? That's the wrong button. Is it... that one? Wait, why is that on now? That's just looking at, like, a mess in my room. Aha, this one here, right? So I've got the XL right here in front of me, and it means then if I go into all of this, for example, if I go into like the cockpit and I wanted to move stuff around with me chairs, amongst other things, I have full control over the aircraft and all of its systems, and it's right here in front of me, and I love that. So that's what I'm going to be using a little bit later on. I would ideally need that button to live somewhere else. Where could I get that button to live? Let us see. Tutorial, count, lights, next page. We put on the next page. Hang on. We're doing some stuff together. If I go to Stream Deck XL, and if I go to this guy, copy, Stream Deck, paste. If I've done this right, will this work? If this works, lads, it forever known Murphy's a genius. He's a genius! Genius! Right, so I can control all that up there. Right, okay, so I'm happy enough with things here. We better test some V-Pilot. I'm very much looking forward to this flight tonight. I think this is probably going to be one of the most difficult flights I think we can actually do. Only because we know how busy it's going to be, and we're going to get all sorts of challenges thrown at us. We're going to get a challenge of our departure, our en route, our arrival. There will be holes, and then we have a challenging landing as well. So I think it's going to be class, right? It's going to be class. So let's see if we can connect to VATSIM. We're an A320. Let's connect to the network. I can hear other aircraft, so let's see what happens. There's one guy over there. There's another guy. There's a guy on the roof. But that's a model, that's okay. Fly Tampa scenery. And we got some other bits and bobs. There's an EasyJet there. And what else? That's all I can see for the moment. The good news is, as I said, Cornwolf has done incredible work, and we have our beloved Firefly Air liveries up and running. I mean, just how friggin' awesome and cool is that, right? Brilliant news. So in terms of VATSIM, let's go and have a quick look here. Go up here, and we'll go to VATSIM Radar. An awesome website. And let's have a look here now. So Dublin, no one's staffed at the moment. We're over here. Tons of aircraft. Let's see here now. So we don't have any ATC, unfortunately. But that's okay. We can see the other aircraft, so I'm happy enough with that. Right, let's go to Dublin. Plastic sheeting, RTE News, Dublin. Let's go to Dublin and check out this new scenery now from Rambog. And we'll see how it's going to behave itself. So over the pond we go and launch ourselves here into Dublin, and we'll just give ourselves standard parking on 318. Let's see if the scenery is loading in. We'll know this straight away. It is. I can see stuff appearing. Rambog, yeah, absolute friggin' ledge. Right, let's 318 left will do, and we'll just ascertain that we are on live. Oh, I'm looking forward to this one. Flight panels are substantial. They're a lot of fun. I don't think the Gwencelli's Phoenix panels are as in-depth as the ones Murph was using, though. Yeah, I love these. I think flight panels have done an incredible friggin' job building them. And yeah, you're going to pay for them, right? Like, they're 20 quid or 25 quid, but that's you sorted for this airplane. Like, you're sorted. And they do panels for like the Stream Deck Plus and so on as well. Like, it's, you know, there's a lot of options there. Right, easy now, airplane. And let's see. All is working well. Turn that on. Battery 1, 2. External. Beautiful sounds. Now let's see what we can look at in here. Internal, let's look at the overhead. Yes. Navs are all online. I can see those there now. There goes our gate. Adhere's batteries up and running. That's what we wanted. Overhead 2, what do we need here? Rain repellent, no. GPS don't need. Probe don't need. Wipers don't need. Overhead 3, avionics, they're all looking good. Temperatures are all looking good. APU test. Go ahead and click that on. What else do you want? And our Ecam. Let's have a look at our Ecam. And from here, self-test is in progress. That's grand. We can change the screens now. Bleeds, engine, pressure, and this is all from using our Stream Deck. How friggin' cool is that, lads? Isn't it brilliant? I absolutely love this. And you can change like the lights and all this as well. What else do we have? Air conditioning, our Mac do. Lighting, this is going to be internal and external, which is all okay. And, oh, I'll do that actually, hang on. Lighting, let's get the dome light on. There we go. And all should be well in the round. Super duper. Alright, so continue on from here. Overhead lighting is on. Go get our nav lights, wing lights, no smoking, emergency lights armed. Fuel pumps, put them on just for the sheer crack of it. Double check that our controls. Reversers. F2 doesn't work, F3 does work. Okay, so note to self, we do have reversers and they're built into the axes. Okay. Go ahead and clear these. Some additional lights coming up here now as well. And get some of these lights up here as well. Lighting up there looks good. Okay, let's go exploring what Rambog has done with the place. So it's still Dublin as we know it. However, this is where we don't have access to the runways, look. Fair play to them. Look at that, look. Ah, that's very good, isn't it? Well done, Rambog, dude. Well done. So we can see the story now with 28 left. So where your touchdown zone is going to be now, lads, have a look at this. It's very, very different. So the Pappy lights are still where they are, right? However, we won't be touching down until we get to roughly here. Triforce, good to see you. So our touchdown zone is roughly here. Yeah? Now, in an A320, not overly worried. We shouldn't run too long. We shouldn't. And then we'll exit on Sierra, what's that, 7? Sierra 6. So we've 5 or 7. ATC will tell us where to get off the runway anyway. And then for parking, we'll probably end up having to go Whiskey 2 and then over across. Right, okay. That's friggin' cool. That's brilliant. Rambog, well done, mate. It's something so simple, but it just adds to the whole immersive thing, doesn't it? That's awesome. Standard off is Sierra 5, yeah. Probably Sierra 7. But we'll see how quick they can get down. Touchdown is between Sierra 2 and Sierra 3. Yeah. So like our touchdown zone, realistically, is here. Right here. Wheels will make contact somewhere around here. Okay. Now, in terms of flying the actual procedure, right? In terms of flying the actual procedure and what sort of guidance that the aircraft can do via autopilot and whatnot, right? So our job later on is going to be quite interesting. So let's go in here and import the flight plan. How do we my flights, ground services. Oh, hang on, I need to do something. Simbury viewers, their name has changed. I think it was Two-Tone Murphy. Two-Tone Murphy. Navigraph connection is in. You can change background image from external. That's grand. Phoenix, tap. There we go. Favorite Irishman, Jay Weber, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Okay, so that's going to be how we're going to fly this. We'll come over here to our FMGC. GPS primary loss, that's all okay. Let me see. ATSU, haven't flown this machine in a while. We'll go into the ATSU AOC menu. We're going to have a look at our routing. Flight initialization. Request. It'll give me an error to say, Murphy, you're not in Amsterdam. Yeah, we know that. But I'm just trying to think in terms of flying this evening, an RMP. This should follow pretty much, especially in the Phoenix, this should all be just automatic or automagically, yeah? As in, once I stick everything in, this should be able to do everything it needs to do in terms of, you know, capturing, approach, glide, auto land, all that jazz, right? Or does it? IRS initialization. Well, that's the reference, but it's actually here, so we'll go with that one. Align on that reference. Okay, yeah, we know we're miles off, but that's quite okay. Flight number is going to be Firefly Air 235. Cost index for tonight's flight, I imagine it's going to be low. 5. Cruise, it wants us up at 38,000 feet. IRS is done. Wind should already been done. Forecast request return. We'll go to wind request, wind data uplink. If we go to our departure and arrival, so we're going to say EHAM departure is on runway 18 left for the moment. 18 left on the SID of Bergy 4 Echo. Insert. Let's see what happens. And then we'll come all the way down to Dublin. Bagzo. Dublin. Arrival. ILS. No, it's an RMP. Let's go with 28 left. The Bagzo 4 Lima. Now, why don't I have my 28 lefts? Right, hang on. 28 left. I want the RMP. Approach. But it's not an ILS. Is it RNAV? There it is there, look. Yeah, big Aegis. From Bags of 4. Right, that looks better. Right, well then if that's the case, map not available. That's because you won't align because... Oh wait, it'll align in 1 minute. Right, let's see what happens here. Where did this open? Map not available because we don't have GPS, isn't that right? If I go to plan, at least show me the plan. Yeah, right. So how is all of this actually going to work is the question, right? So how is this going to work? Right, so there's oh Jesus, right. Bagzo, Kerav, and if there needs to be a hold at Kerav, so Kerav, hold, inbound course. What's going to be our inbound course at Kerav? Our inbound course at Kerav (230). Is that right? Or should it be 207? I say it should be 207. 207. Inbound course is going to be 207. It's going to be a right turn. Revert to computed. That's probably the best thing to do. You see, it wants 230, but it's going to be 207, right? Time is going to be 207. Right. So it'll be from Adsis, Bagzo, Adsis, Kerav, and we'll enter in this way. But I suppose that makes sense, doesn't it? And then it's a 1 minute, 2.8 mile turn. That looks right, lads. Do you think so? No, Murphy, it looks terribly wrong. I think that looks right. That looks right, doesn't it? That's our hold. All going well. Now, in terms of a speed restriction, 220 is the fastest we can go there. I'd say we're okay there. Hit computed, it should be in the database. Yeah, no, it is. It is. Yeah, no, I think it looks good, doesn't it? Adam's controlling tonight. Dublin South Tower for the first couple of hours, then North Tower for the last 90 minutes. Ooh, nice. He's going to be flat out tonight. Okay, the hold looks... Well, it looks right. We'll see now if it doesn't, but it's going to be right-hand turns. We'll enter it. 220 is our max speed. And ATC will obviously advise on our altitude. If not, we know it's going to be between, what, 5 and 8? Or 5 and... 5 and 14,000. Alright, max 220 knots, and then we just circle around. Okay. Are we with us so far? That makes sense, lads, doesn't it? I think it does. Right, so we can insert that, or no, we don't need to. Delete. And, well, let's see what happens. So EHAM all the way across, and then it's going to be over to Dublin. All the way across. If we don't get a hold, we could be lucky. We may not get a hold. It'll come across here. Bagzo, Kerav, skip the hold, and then they'll probably give us a direct Obinu, and then our initial approach fix is going to be Oxbow. Final approach fix is going to be I think it's Uz or You've of Zuz, and then we're in. Missed approach after the fact, it's going to be out to Gannet, 3,000 feet, right turn up to DW034, then it's over to the Dublin VOR. From there, I wouldn't be surprised if we get routed back to Kerav. So if I were to do something like that, and that means we're going to be a different course heading in, isn't it? It's going to be on the 027. 027 inbound, right turn, but 1 minute. There we go. So if I were to insert that now, for example, and we look at our full plan, let's have a look. That's not the hold we're doing. Let's say we don't get a hold. This is purely from our missed approach. So if we get missed approach, Gannet, Dublin, and then Kerav and hold. I think that's all we need to do. And from there, we'll plan another approach. And if we need to stay in the hold longer than what ATC want, we can just tell them, lads, would you give us a minute? Like, worst case scenario, right? But the fact that we're looking at this now, at least we're trying to build up a bit of a plan in our head that chances are we'll have to hold our Kerav on the way in. And as a missed approach, ATC might vector us, right? But from a planning perspective, it's no harm planned that from the Dublin VOR, if we have to go 027 and then right, that hold is the wrong side of Kerav. No, but we're coming from the Dublin VOR, Malky. No? Have I done Ornav in the Phoenix before? No. It should be off to the northwest. It should be off to the northwest. Should it? Check your chart. No, but... Right. the missed approach doesn't actually tell us to go back to the hold. The missed approach is like, are they going to use the hold at Abinu? I doubt it. I doubt it. Like, what I'm just thinking tonight for traffic control, if we go missed, we'll probably go to the Dublin VOR, and I reckon they're going to send us up the way. That's my thinking. Am I wrong in thinking that? You missed the OGFS Labs? I haven't flown that much. I do have the 321 alright, but I haven't flown it that much. Right, what are your thoughts on this one, lads? Like, approaching, yes, the hold is there, no problem at all. I'm just thinking, if this were to happen, if you're ready for another approach, you'll be vectored back to Oxbow. Okay. So by the time you get to... By the time you get to the Dublin VOR, you'll be vectored back to Oxbow and then go in and have another go. So the chances of holding a second time are unlikely. If you're not ready, you can hold a Carav, but the inbound radial will still be 207. Is that what I did wrong? I'm inbound on... How would you do... Right, okay, hang on. Hang on. Here's the hold. No, return that. Delete that. And let's say Carav. Hold. Inbound would be 207 and not 027. Well, let's see what this does. D. Yeah, that makes more sense. Malky, I couldn't visualize what you're trying to say, but now I think I get it. So we'll go to here and then do the teardrop back in. Would that be right? Just don't miss the landing. Problem solved. It's not even about missing the landing. You could go miss because someone else is delayed. Right? That looks right. Okay, cheers, Malky, and cheers, Nacho. Right, okay. Just as well we did it now, lads. I'd have been all, and this is what we do tonight, lads. The next thing, Firefly 235, please disconnect. Right, do you know, that's why we do this stuff during the day. But like, the worry here isn't necessarily me missing the landing, although I could do that. What's this Czech Airlines business? Czech Airlines A320. Interesting. Cornwolf, you need to check us something. You have it right, as does Malky. Yeah. Okay. So worst case scenario, we'd be asked to go there, but chances are they'll just route us back in. That's grand. That was all we really wanted. All we really wanted to know. Right, and then we'll delete Carav as well. Alright. So that's how our flight plan will look. Am I right in saying then we'll get a vector from Abinu? Or we'll get vector to Oxbow? Josh will send us to hold over Glasgow, right? I didn't realise that was there. Cornwolf, you need to do a thing. Check Airlines. What's it like in the cabin? Is there an interior? No.
It's a big 10-4, good buddy.
There'll be buttons. Nicky Fizz, thank you very much indeed for 7 months. Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much indeed. I need to watch tonight as Murph and an Ornav in the Phoenix, or an Ornav in the Phoenix. Yeah. You won't generally get to... yeah, you'll be vectored beforehand. Yeah, sound. Okay. No, that's grand. Like that, doing that full arch on the way in, it's so rare that happens. So, yeah, no, I get it. So we'll get Bagzo. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Divert to the city of Derry. Yeah. But we'll put in, actually, where is our alternate? Shannon is our alternate. So we need to have enough fuel on for Shannon, obviously. Know what I mean? Right, okay. In terms of the... In terms of the RNP... I mean, in terms of the Phoenix flying, it's all automatic. It genuinely, I think it's all automatic. Like it's just it'll do its stuff. In terms of setting up, well, anything. Once it's on the RMP, we just hit approach mode and away she goes. Right? That's my understanding. But sure, we'll find out tonight if that's not the case. You know. This should be fun though. This will definitely be fun. I am looking forward to this flight to see what happens. Why isn't my jetway connected? Get in there, will you? Toggle the jetway. Thank you. Cornwolf, did you see this? What is the meaning of this? We can't do that today because of everything uploaded, but like, what in the name? Czech Airlines. Did we buy this 320 from the Czech Airlines? Beautiful livery though. Maybe that was always there, I couldn't tell you. We did, we got it on the cheap. Right, grand, fair enough. Now we know where we got it from. Brilliant. Czech Airlines. Alright. Now, what else did I want to do here? That's kind of it. My hardware is working. Radios. 1228. Oh wait, hang on, radios. Let's connect to this. Alright, do we have some traffic in Dublin? VATSIM radar. Hello. Is there anyone at all? No, there's no refunds. Shag off. Does it bounce like a Murphy check? We'll find out. Cybot, good to see you. Hope you're well.
Oh, Jesus.
There's no other crater here in Dublin. I'm all on me own. That's the wrong button completely. There'd be no other aircraft in Dublin. There's no one flying out today. They said, no, we're not doing it. Are you out of your mind? Do you know? This is going to be interesting. I don't know what makes this even madder, lads. This is a nighttime flight. So it's going to look a little bit like this evening coming in. Brilliant, right? What variant am I in? The CFM WX A320. Rambog, all the work you've done, we can't even see the shagging scenery. It's nighttime. Jesus. Sure, throw in an owl beacon light or something, you know. Jesus. This will make it interesting. We'll need a beacon light of some description, for sure. Some trucks, ETS2. Yeah. The extra pappies will show. Do they? Oh, they do. Look, we've two sets of pat. Oh, that isn't going to be confusing at all. And they work. So ignore the first set. It's the second set we want, isn't it? Yes, it's the second set you want. Be very careful about that tonight, lads. So we need to ignore the first set of Pappy lights coming into Dublin. Them Pappy won't be happy. We need to focus on the second batch of Pappy lights. Right. That's why there's a briefing. Yes, Dougal, that's right. If I read the... I did read the briefing. I'll read it again, look. Bloody hell, tough crowd. Right. Where's this now? Ah, yes. The briefing about the briefing. That's not the briefing. Right. You'll be clear to a star. And you'll enter the hold at either Carav or Sorin and then join the point merge sequence. Except this time, instead of being clear to Latmo, you're going to head to Oxbow. The real runway is equipped with temporary runway threshold and PAPI lights, which have been included. Temporary displaced and then the new temporary PAPIs. See? It's there in the document. They're telling us all about... It's all in the document. Oh, Jesus, will you go in? Look, see? That's it all there, look. Brilliant. I'm excited now for this. I mean, it could only, like, go wrong. You know, it can only go terribly wrong. You know, I like my odds. Yeah, no worries on that at all, Cornwolf. Where is this now? Where did I park my beautiful plane? Here it is. A thing of beauty is our beloved Firefly Air A320 with all the stuff working. Brilliant. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, like we get disconnected and maybe we'd be banned. I suppose reputation in the toilet. That's the worst that could happen, you know. But no, I'm looking forward to this, and it seems like an awful lot of work has gone into this from the guys at VATEIR. So excited to see what happens. Right? Pinged by a supervisor wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the first time on VATSIM. Oh, terribly sorry. Thought was there already. Yeah, dot wallop, yeah. Where is this now? To error, I human. I really mess things up. Requires a Murphy. Oh, yeah. We've all been there. You always something happens on VATSIM that we can't explain, and we blame someone else, and then you realise you can't blame anyone. Where is this now? Beautiful lighting in this. So it's going to be a nighttime flight. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And we'll have to see how we go. I'm still too terrified to fly on VATSIM anymore. It'd be grand, lads. It'd be grand. Right, are we happy enough-ish with what's going to happen? Got my altitude wrong by 1,000 feet with London Controller yesterday. Uh-oh. Or London Control. Oh, they were cool about it? Yeah, it'd be grand. Dougal, what cruise are you thinking of doing today? Cruise altitude? 38 seems a little bit kind of mad, isn't it? Like, flight level 380 just seems a little bit bejaney then. Yeah, probably 36, yeah. Alright. It's going to be grand. Don't worry about it, lads. All will be well in the realm. Right, that is our day of VOR and NDB flying, also with our VATSIM briefing for our flight tonight. We are back at the earlier time of 1900 Zulu, which means we will be here in about 4 hours, lads. That's when we go flying again. So, right, I'm off now to pick up the missus, have a bit of lunch, and, you know, shout at the wind for a while. Thank you all so very much indeed for tuning in, and we'll see you in just a few more hours as we will do this flight tonight from Amsterdam into Dublin. Live. Right, until then, good luck to you. Trying to turn, and we'll start advancing that mixture back in here now shortly. Come on, prop.
Sink rate.
You're all right.
Sink rate.
Yeah.
Up. Sink rate.
Give us a bit of air in the nose there. Nearly. Come on, Betsy, you can do it. We need the wind. Oh, bother. We need more speed. This isn't dangerous at all. 110, 120. Mixture in. The mixture's in, come on! She doesn't want to play. She nearly got there. Hang on now. Easy. There she goes. Jesus. If it didn't kick off, lads, I would have died immediately. She looks like your man. Oh no, it's a him. Oh Jesus. It looked like your one, Katie Taylor. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a great fight, and then I boxed the head off him. Brilliant. Fancy pedals.
Fancy pedals.
Uh-oh.
No. This is...
Steady.
Listen.
Hang
It's
on.
a hurricane.